In a world overrun with an infinite amount of multiverses, originating from a plethora of sources, four longtime friends band together to try to make sense of it all and present it to an audience in an easy-to-digest podcast. This is Geeking Off the Page.
Hey everybody, it's me, Trevor. You have time right now to hit stop and go on with your life, and you'll be scot-free.
Hi, I'm Gavin, and C is for cookie.
My name's Troy, and it's not my fault.
Actually, I think it might be your fault. And I'm Mike Kitchen, and he who was first is now last. And welcome to Geeking Off the Page, a podcast where a bunch of old friends, and I do mean old, talk about a bunch of nerdy stuff that our wives don't want to talk about. So like comics and movies and all sorts of things. And also like why George Clooney is the best Batman. Oh, wait, we're not doing that this week, are we?
No, not yet.
Back to you, Troy.
All right. So like Mike said, here's our podcast. Welcome to it. And every single week we do the same sort of thing. And we're going to be talking about our coming attractions.
And Gavin's gone.
Exactly. We've already lost Gavin. All right. So basically, we just talk about the previous week's trailer releases, and we take them one by one, whatever strikes our fancy. So the first one we're going to talk about is Finch, which is a Apple TV release, and it's going to be released on November 5th. Now, here is another post-apocalyptic tale about a barren wasteland. Apparently, some solar flare has wiped out a good portion of all of the technology of the modern day. And this one we have as our lead character is Tom Hanks. And it's kind of neat. Tom Hanks builds a robot, and with a dog.
Wilson got an upgrade.
Yeah, Wilson got an upgrade. It is basically, it looks like it's going to be
Castaway.
It's Castaway in the future.
Instead of being on an island, the island is Earth, and instead of Wilson being volleyball, he's a robot now. So Wilson got an upgrade.
Yeah, you're right. Wilson. You're right, Gavin. Chappie. Exactly. It's Chappie. Yeah. It looks kind of cool. I mean, Apple TV. Well, okay. A lot of these watching distribution, pay more for this than you have been cable before services are doing amazing jobs with some of their stuff.
That they don't pay people the right amount.
Okay, yep, we'll all agree with that. That is a good point.
Hey, they don't pay us enough either.
No, they don't pay us enough either, Mike. You're right. But this is a theatrically looking movie. Now, there's a good chance that it actually was supposed to be theatrical, and then Apple just decided to buy it and put it on there, which is what Amazon does, which is what Netflix does. They just buy a bunch of stuff. And
do we know for sure if that happened or not?
I do not know. It might be something that was made for Apple TV, but
Trevor, pull up the info.
There you go.
Oh, what? All right.
So
Analysis, Trev?
So basically it's what it is. It's a solar flare has basically done damage to the Earth. The Earth is seems to be a barren wasteland. I'm not 100% sure where Tom Hanks is located in this particular world, but he is by himself. He has a dog that he takes care of, and apparently his mission is to get to somewhere, which actually is right this very second escaping me where his goal is, but to get to this goal, he has a Winnebago and builds a robot to help him with his goal. And again, it's he builds Wilson, and we have a finger up from Mr. Brown, right. And he says
this was purchased by Amblin Entertainment, Spielberg. Universal Pictures was set to distribute it, but by December of 2017, it was on the year's blacklist of films probably not to be made. It did get made. It was scheduled for release by Universal October of 2020. However, COVID kind of shut that down.
Right.
Apple swooped in and bought it. So Universal retains home entertainment and linear television rights, but Apple gets to show it first.
Oh, okay.
Interesting.
So, all right. So no theatrical release for something that was originally geared for theatrics, but 2020, everyone knows what happened then. And if you're in the future, do your research. All right. So what do you guys think? It looks like fun. I don't myself have Apple TV, but if I get a chance to watch it, I definitely will watch this because I like Tom Hanks. Tom Hanks, no matter what Tom Hanks is in, Tom Hanks is always good in whatever Tom Hanks is doing because Tom Hanks is the best Tom Hanks that any of us can have.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
Tom Hanks he's one of the only actors who can get an Oscar just by acting against volleyball. So, I mean, he can sell this, and he's already selling it for me.
This one's made me kind of. I'm right now at the tipping point because there's a lot of stuff on Apple TV that I'm kind of interested in watching, and this one might be the final thing that kind of gives me that fine little tip to go over and subscribe. And my collection of subscribed channels will be complete.
Gotta catch them all. They're like Pokemon. Gotta catch them all.
Damn.
Gotta subscribe to them all.
But yeah, it's just, I mean, I look at the list of shows that are currently on Apple TV and the ones that are coming up. It's like, there's a lot of really good things that I'd like to see. And unfortunately, Apple's kind of monopolizing shit. When they have more money than God, I guess that's the way it goes.
Yeah.
So yeah, between them and Amazon, they pretty much own it all, or at least have the money to do it. So I like the trailer. The trailer, as I said, got me kind of intrigued. But yeah, immediately it was like, this is kind of like Castaway, and hey, Wilson got an upgrade. So I mean, if I had the opportunity to watch it, I definitely would.
Yeah, for me, I like the visuals. I like that kind of a movie. I'm not going to rush out to subscribe to anything. If people say it's amazing, I'll make sure I go out of my way to watch it. But
see if one of your kids already has a subscription to the program.
I don't think they have Apple.
Okay.
With my kids, honestly, with the number of kids you had, you should have just got every service covered.
Yeah, they might know a guy. I know you got a family as big as mine. You got a guy.
Well, that is also the nice thing about these services now is that they are open to the people sharing the platform.
Right. It lets a certain amount of logons.
Exactly.
And if you're within that, then you have access.
Yeah. Which I think is just best for everyone, including the companies that are running it. Because at the beginning, when Netflix only allowed one person to watch Netflix at a time, it's like, oh, what the hell's this? Why are you? Because they were the only game in town at the time, though, also. But now that there's so many options.
Everyone and their brother streams something.
Yeah, exactly.
In the case of a family like mine, where you have 7 people in the house and everybody has a device, it's like you definitely need multiple logins in order to have everybody watching their own shows.
That's true. That is, yeah. All right. So the next one we're going to move on to is me personally, one of my favorites out of this whole entire list. And that is Disney Plus's Muppets Haunted Mansion, which is coming out on October 8th, which of course is going to be on Disney Plus to begin with, but just a second there, guys. I'm just going to shut something down. I'm just going to pause this for a second. So it's going to be, again, released on October 8th. And this is basically Gonzo and Pepe are tasked with spending the night in the Haunted Mansion. Now, this is the Haunted Mansion that currently is located in California, as we can tell by the exteriors and all that. And like any Muppet property, all the Muppets take the personas of the different ghosts in the actual Haunted Mansion. Plus, we have several actors actually showing up in various roles as well. And just from this trailer alone, looks so fun. Oh, for sure.
I'm going to watch it. I mean, it's my brother's birthday that day, but I don't care.
It's the Muppets.
And I had belt exams that day. I don't care. I'm going to watch it. I don't care. I'm going to watch this.
Yeah, no, it looks, I mean, I'm always been a huge fan of the Muppets for everything they've done. I've been raised watching Sesame Street in the 70s, loved the Muppet Show. Jim Henson has always been there in my life in some form or another. And this is just one in a long line of, mind you, there has been stuff in the past that hasn't been, you know what, up to. I was just about
to say,
I will admit,
but when it's not done well, it's pretty horrible.
It's kind of hard to swallow. It is kind of hard to swallow.
This will be a really good one.
Well, this looks like it doesn't look like it's going to be any more than what you're seeing. It looks like you're going to get an hour and a half long movie, and it's going to be comedy ensues and all that. Yes,
I'm going to say now it's going to be better than the Eddie Murphy Haunted Mansion.
I'm
I was
pretty
just
sure
going to
it'll
ask
be
if
better
this
than
was
that.
essentially the same movie, just retold as Muppets.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
I really am.
Just retell it better.
I would watch Star Wars retold with Muppets, start to
Yeah.
finish.
Speaking of which, okay, I have to say this now because you made the segue. I just got the kids into the Muppets again. We watched the first episode. It became a phenomena.
Oh, you're talking the original series.
Original Muppet
Okay,
show,
excellent,
yeah.
excellent. All right.
So now this is the thing that happens in the family. Somebody will go phenomena, and everyone starts singing. So that's fun. Second
Well,
one we
it's easy
showed
when you
was
have
Mark
an entire
Hamill.
chorus to back you up.
I know it's great. The whole house goes into harmonizing. But then the second one was Mark Hamill. So that so they got to see Star Wars Muppets right there. So I agree with you,
Nice.
Trevor. If they did do that with Muppets, because they sort of did already, but if they did it, yeah, I would watch that.
I'm talking if they did the prequels, the originals, and even the sequels, everyone is Muppets. I would watch the hell out of that.
Except Yoda would have to be played by a human being because he's already
Yeah, Yoda's the only one played by.
They'll get Frank Oz. He'll just be the human character.
They stick some ears on him. They paint him green. He's like,
That would be
"I wish I was
amazing.
dead.
Do or do not. There is no trap.
Right.
That's fantastic to hear, Mike. I'm glad that there's another generation enjoying the Muppets that way. And the fact that you went back to the original TV series, which is kind of neat. That's great.
Yeah.
Now, have you only seen just the two, or is it just
We've watched a few of them. But
Okay, excellent.
again, as we know from the last 20 podcasts, we're on a Naruto marathon. And
Right,
we're
right.
plowing
Yeah,
through
yeah.
that.
All the time.
Naruto must flow.
Okay. So as we've all established, yes, we are all excited to be seeing this new Muppet feature of the Haunted Mansion. Also, because it's the Haunted Mansion as well. For me personally, one of my favorite attraction at any of the Disneylands is the Haunted Mansion, and that's the one that I also do collecting of merchandise as well and all that, or at least attempt to. But yeah, that's always a fun thing too. All right, so moving on to the next one that we have is Netflix. Well, we still don't have yet a date, but we're thinking either late 2001 or be early 2021 or early 2022. Let's do the whole number there. And that's The Sandman. So we have this tiny little preview, which is basically like not even like a trailer, but it's like a summary of the opening of the story, which again, it's another series, but this is an actual Netflix from the get-go. This is they purchased, they developed, they worked on and all that. So this is in the Netflix. They didn't buy it from someone else. They purchased it and basically started working on it itself. Neil Gaiman's involved with it and all that. And this, just from this tiny little clip, I think it's only like at the longest, like 90 seconds long or something like that.
I think it's barely over a minute.
Yeah, barely over a minute. And it just looks like what you would hope the Sandman would look like. It looks like something that came, like it's an animated comic book. Knowing, I mean, again, going back a couple of episodes and all that, we all are pretty familiar with the Neil Gaiman comic book from Vertigo. We know the look, we know the feel and all that. And this sequence just captures it. And when that whole entire magical swirl in this thing opens up, and it just, this is going to be, if this is just a taste, I can't wait to feast on this thing because this looks so cool.
Again, I'm going to watch the hell out of it.
Now, that's the other thing too. It's Netflix. So are we going to see all the episodes all in one day?
Probably. They'll bash it all at once.
Yeah, you think so? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Netflix.
Yeah, it's what they do.
Yeah, it is what Netflix does. Yeah. So, I mean, to keep from spoilers, you're going to have to sit there and watch all 6 episodes.
I'm not sure how many it is.
Yeah, I didn't find out listings, but I think it's not a huge amount, which thankfully it's not, because if it were like 12 episodes or something like that, it'd be so much to take. But 6 to 8 episodes sounds about right. But yeah, that is definitely, and like I said, I'm looking forward to this as well, because Neil Gaiman cannot do any wrong right now, which is fantastic. I'm so thrilled with that sort of thing. But What do you think there,
still
Mike?
My biggest thing with this whole Sandman series
Mhm.
is I'm still not sold on the casting of Death. So it's, what's her name? Kirby Howell Baptiste is the character there that's playing Death in this. And if I remember right, she was in The Good Place, and
Yeah.
her personality was great for the character. You know, she's very bubbly and happy and a really good aura about her. But to me, she just does not look the part. An interesting thing, I was thinking, who would be the character I would cast for that, right? Because if you're going to critique the casting, you try and come up with someone that might be better.
Yeah.
And I was thinking Jenna Coleman from Doctor Who played Clara Oswald.
Right.
So that's
Yeah.
someone that has that girlish face and that bubbly personality, and I don't know, just like the kind of personality that draws you to her.
But isn't
right?
she
And
already in the series though?
she is,
She
and that's
is in
the
the-
thing. I started looking it up, and she's playing Joanna Constantine.
Yes, Constantine.
So-
That's right. She's playing Constantine. Yes.
Yeah. So that was interesting that it's like, oh, this is the person I would cast. It's like, oh yeah, we actually got her in a different role. It's like, okay, well, yeah, well, so we'll see how it all plays out. But the first indication from the trailer is it seems to capture the mood, the vibe, and the guy that got playing Sandman looks great. Looks really, really good.
That
So
hair.
I hope they keep it.
That hair. Oh, yeah, definitely. What do you think there, Gavin?
To be honest, I haven't read the books in a very long time, so I just mostly remember the art style, and I'm sold on the art style alone. The look, the visuals alone make me want to go further into this.
Oh yeah, the helmet
probably
looked great.
Try to refresh myself with the comics at some point before it debuts, but I might just wait and just go in kind of like with fresh eyes, I guess.
You know what? I'm in the same boat as you, Gavin. It's been decades since I've read anything Sandman. I don't think I actually have anything available to me right now, but I think knowing that Neil Gaiman is in charge of the story and the writing for this, I think he will do a service to viewers who have no idea what this is all about, and will basically, we will be handheld into this series to a point, and then he'll go full Gaiman on us, and then everyone will be like, oh my God, I love the series. Because again, he's also getting people that American Gods and Good Omens as well. Everyone knows what to expect from a Neil Gaiman now. You can't go into this blindly not knowing, but I think that Sandman, because it's such a huge epic thing to start off where it's starting off, I know Neil Gaiman is going to do a service to those who are fans and those who are newbies. And I trust that it's going to be a fantastic series. So I'm not going to refresh myself at all.
All right.
I was wondering about that opening sequence, if that was in the comic or not. So I had to go searching for it, and it
Right.
does look like that. Like they do have the ritual,
Yeah.
where they get him. Like, and that's the shot directly from the trailer with him.
Oh my God,
curled
it
up.
looks so fantastic.
Yeah. And so the fact that they got that right,
Even the
made me so
ruins
happy.
look right.
Yeah.
Oh, now I'm really thrilled about this. This is fantastic.
When
For me-
they had the budget to be able to put into the visuals, it really shows.
Yes.
For sure.
Sorry,
For me,
I cut you off, Trevor.
When I went through, no, it's okay. When I went through the casting, it all looked great. But yeah, I agree. I had in my mind, because I just recently reread, I think it was like the first couple of issues of Sandman, just to kind of jog the memory. And the person in my mind that I saw playing Death, any of you guys watch Doom Patrol?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't watch it, no.
Diane Guerrero. She is like, you'd swear they just pulled her right out of the comic book in terms for
Okay,
Death.
now I see what you're going with. Yeah, okay.
She looks so close to what she looks like. The other one would have been oh God, what's her name?
And who would that character be for?
For Death.
Okay.
I just felt that she fit the persona. I mean, she can do like the dark goth persona, but she can. I mean, she's a versatile enough actress that she can change up the way that she portrays a character. So she's got the acting skill. And I just felt like she had the look as well. but she's kind of busy with Doom Patrol right now, so that's not gonna happen.
Plus, I believe this is being done in the UK, isn't it? Sandman is
Yeah.
being, in the UK. Yeah.
I think that was part of the to get Gaiman on board.
Yeah.
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 He wants to do it in his backyard.
All right. So next up on our list, if everyone's done with the Sandman, everyone done with the Sandman? Okay, nods. Yes, works good for an audio podcast.
Yes.
All
Yes.
right.
Just makes
Next-
it sound like you're still in control, Troy. That's all.
Okay, I see what you're saying. All right. So we have something that was brought up to us a couple of months ago by Mr. Kitchen himself, and we got the trailer, which gives us a little more of Cobra Kai season 4, which we also
8 hours ago.
yes, which was going to be released on Netflix, and it's going to be given to us on the 31st of December.
New Year's Eve.
Yeah, so you get to watch everything and watch the new year come in, sort of thing.
Before the new year starts, you get to get caught up on Cobra Kai season 4.
Exactly. Now I myself am only in second season again. I've just stalled
Still?
because I know.
dare
I
you.
have.
I'm still in
How
second season
dare
too.
you?
I know. It's terrible. It's horrible of me to like. What type of fan am I, sort of thing. But
Exactly. What the hell kind of fan are you?
this little trailer looks. I mean, I know where the story ends up because I just know what happens in season 3 to begin with. But this trailer between trying to make their own dojo in a backyard, just it looks so entertainingly funny. It the two leads working off each other just look like they first of all look like they're having fun, which is fantastic. And but what's his face who returns, guy with ponytail,
Yeah.
Terry Silver.
yeah, someone looks a little older than everyone else looks, actually, because
He aged a bit.
yeah, just a bit, but I mean it's still fantastic. Again, I'm thrilled that the series is coming out. I'm in the middle of catching up with the series, and it's something that I'll eventually get to. I know December is going to be one hell of a busy time, just with a couple of shows on Disney Plus and whatnot, because we got both Boba Fett and we got Hawkeye and whatnot. So, I mean, I don't know if I'm going to sit there and watch all 6. How many episodes was the other seasons of Cobra Kai? They weren't that long, right? It wasn't
like 10.
They were
but
10. They were 10, really?
We can Google that. We have the
Yeah, we can
technology.
totally Google that sort of thing. But anyways, I will definitely look forward to it when I
10
get to it.
episodes.
There you go. So what do you guys think?
I'm liking it.
I'm
I
gonna watch
love
it.
that it's the All Valley tournament again, right? Because that's so Karate Kid.
That's
I
right.
love
Forget about that.
seeing
Yeah.
the Daniel and Johnny giving the mentor speeches at the same time, because you see such a contrast of the characters.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that scene looks like that's the very last scene of the last season. So that looks like that's essentially where it starts, which is fun that you go right from the last Phil Collins in the Air Tonight thing, seeing them come together. And then this is the pep talk. It's like, oh my God, these guys got a lot of work to do.
Yeah.
But it looks like there's some massive stakes. I'm so curious to see the Kreese and Silver Cobra Kai. And it just looks like it's going to be fun. The gymnastics scene in the trailer looks fun. So I think the stunts are going to be amped up a little bit. Most of the martial arts look pretty good. So yeah, the whole family's looking forward to this one. This is probably by far the most favorite live action show in the Kitchen household right now. So yeah, looking forward to it.
Wow. That's pretty high standards there. What do you guys think?
I'm gonna watch the hell out of this.
Trevor
Put that as a
said
tag for it, like a catch line.
Yeah.
It just,
sound clip. We'll make it a sound bite.
Can we get a soundboard for you, Trevor?
Yeah, we'll get a soundboard for
I'm gonna
Trevor.
watch
Can
the
we
hell
make
out of
his
it.
eyes
I'm
glow
gonna watch the
red
hell
when
out
he's
of it.
watching all the hell out of everything? His eyes are just going to need some like eye
the
drops.
steam. Occasionally, the hair catches on fire.
Well, like
Watching the hell
you
out of it.
try, I'm still behind on season 2. I have surmised from the intro for the trailer that they're Kreese has probably taken over the Cobra Kai,
You have no excuses, Gavin.
and that now they have to work together. And to be honest with you, was it first season where they go out and grab a beer or something like that, and they're actually getting along until the moment when he realizes that his son is being trained by his enemy.
Yeah, there's
I
a
was
whole
like-
bunch of moments like that through the whole series. It's so nice that
all
interplay
good.
between the two.
So I enjoyed that moment, and I'm like, oh no, are they going to be best friends? Oh no, they're
We just
not.
become best
Okay, that's
friends.
fine.
Yep.
But it sounds like it's gonna be playing off of that kind of that relationship pretty well. So as Trevor would say, I'm gonna watch the heck out of it. Uncensored.
Heck.
Who the hell uses heck?
Yeah, from the guy who drops the
A
most
heckin' good
F-bombs.
time.
Yeah, from the guy who drops F-bombs like they're candy.
Oh, fuck off.
Exactly.
There's
Copy
our
you word for word.
quickly.
Hi,
What's the
caramba.
time? What's the time there? There's our first F bomb of the night. All right.
31 minutes in.
You're
All
welcome.
right. So after that, we have yet another Netflix trailer was dropped today as we talk. This is the 25th of September, and December 17th is going to be the second season of The Witcher.
Woo!
So we this household over here are big fans of The Witcher. Apparently,
John's actually playing The Witcher right now.
there we go. We have someone currently taking part in the actual video game right now. Looks like Trevor's a big fan as well.
I'd be
Apparently,
playing on the Switch if I wasn't here.
apparently, the first season was watched within 2 days. The whole entire thing. I will outwardly say that yes, my daughter was present while the show was being watched. She seemed to enjoy it. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I, however, have never seen an episode yet. It was all watched while I was at
Just
work
make
one
sure
day.
she doesn't go all Yennefer on you.
Yeah.
Okay, I will make sure that she doesn't go all near on me. So yeah. But it is something that I have been meaning to see again.
They were stream cheating on you.
Yeah, exactly. Well, no, I mean, they watched it the day it was released. So there was I was at work, they watched it all in one day. So I think,
Stream infidelity.
yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
But this looks really cool. I mean, I've seen the trailer, I've seen sequences from the first series, I've seen all the clips. I know the song about throwing a coin to your watcher, and to your Witcher and all that sort of thing. But this looks really cool. And I like Henry Cavill.
Henry Cavill.
And sorry,
Henry Cavill, yeah.
Henry Cavill. So
You
I
got it
said it right? Yeah. The look on your face was like, no, is it Harvey? No, it's not. It's not Harvey.
No,
it's
we were
Henry.
shocked that you said it right. That's all.
Thanks. Yeah. And
There's
Well,
the
was that
second.
it? It's a visual.
Visual effect.
exactly, it's a visual. Okay, on YouTube we'll have to strike it for the visual. But anyways, this looks really entertaining. I mean,
Troy
the
just
visuals
gave
look
us
again.
The F-bomb by a finger.
That would be called Flipping the Bird. And again, this, like the other ones we've mentioned, this is actually a Netflix original. They purchased the rights, they produced everything. There goes the hand crank. Yeah, okay. I was gonna do the whole entire, hey, I've got one of these for you sort of thing, but so what do you guys think about this? I take it you guys have all seen The Witcher to begin with, right? The first season.
First season, yes.
Yes.
And it was a lot of fun. Obviously not a family film, but it's a fun one to watch with the wife.
And watch the hell out of it. I will be.
Ooh, switching it up on a
Watch the hell out of it. I will. Yes.
What do you think, Gavin?
I'll watch it. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the first season. Henry Cavill was pretty good. I've heard people have commented on his acting in his various Superman roles as being somewhat wooden, but I thought he did quite well in it.
I disagree with, I agree with Superman as a wooden character, but I don't blame him for that at all. I blame the directing. I think we've talked about this before too, but it's like he could have played the perfect Superman. Yeah.
He could have, if he was given the right to do it properly, yes, he would have been a good Superman. He just unfortunately had the wrong scripts, the wrong directing, the wrong. Yeah, it was just.
He's a crappy Clark Kent.
Yeah. So I mean, again, we're not blaming the actor, we're blaming the character, just the way that
No,
he
we're just
was.
blaming the director.
We're blaming the, okay, we're
Yeah, the character's a great character.
Yeah,
the
Super Great
character is a
rocks.
great character, but I'm talking the character
I know what
in
you
the
mean.
movie. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So good. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Good. I'm glad my point got across. What I was saying then. All right. So we're all looking forward to The Witcher in, again, December. So the next two things are two little small things that I found that I think are quite entertaining to my cold, dark heart, and something that I've been following for a while. In England, they were putting together a stage play of a musical version of Back to the Future. Now, the unfortunate thing is, the actual musical wasn't actually able to be done because of the whole entire 2020 shutting down the production. And they've just recently announced that it is actually going into production. It is basically going to be at stage play again. It's going to be a musical. It's still over in England. It's still the same cast and all that. And it's basically, from this little trailer, it shows you a bunch of clips of how they're doing it. It looks like a lot of like rear projection screens and digital screens and an actual full-size DeLorean that actually doesn't drive. It's moves by moving screens and all that sort of thing. But it looks like a real fun time. And again, huge Back to the Future fan. I've, again, since 84, I've been a fan of the movie and everything that has come out ever since, no matter what it is. And a musical version is exactly what I want to see. Now, unfortunately, I'm probably not going to be able to see it anytime soon, because more than likely it's going to be running a long time in England, probably come to the States at some point in the next year or two, and maybe I'll be able to catch a traveling show and all that, because I know I have a couple of buddies that would probably want to see it, and we'll probably all get dressed up in costume to go see this musical about Back to the Future. So that was one of the things that I found that I thought was entertaining. I just thought, because hey, Back to the Future, there's a musical now. So the other thing is just something I just happened to come across, which I've recently gotten back into watching the WWE, and Netflix on October 5th is releasing another one of their choose your own adventure sort of programs. And this is Escape the Undertaker, where the New Day from the WWE decide to figure that they're going to get some influence and power from using the Undertaker's urn. And so what they do is they approach the Undertaker, and they have to basically go through a haunted house version of a choose your own adventure, where you, along with the New Day, try and get through the Undertaker's mansion to acquire the urn. And it just looks like a stupid fun time. What was the Black Mirror episode that did that? It was that, oh no, what was it called? Anyways, they tried it before, and it seemed to work pretty good. Again, the props come up on your screen. You have a certain amount of time to activate your choice and all that. And again, it's the New Day versus the Undertaker, and it just looks like a fun time. I mean, if you're a fan of the WWE. If you're not, forget about what I just said, because whatever. But again, this is being released on Netflix on October 5th. There goes Trevor stabbing himself in the brain. All right. So as we anything else?
I will say,
yes.
Having seen something called Die Hard the musical a couple of years ago. Basically, it was 80s. It was a whole bunch of 80s rock music, sort of redone with Die Hard themed lyrics. I'll see if I can get the musical director. I actually know him personally. To see if there's any video recording of it, and I'll see if I can share it with you guys. But I would definitely watch Back to the Future the musical based on that experience alone.
Well, didn't you see a Back to the Future thing recently, Gavin?
Yeah, actually last night, the Vancouver Symphony Orchestra performed the musical score to Back to the Future live, with the film being shown on a big screen in front of the orchestra. The best one of the best parts about it is the conductor comes out wearing a Marty McFly vest.
Nice.
That's how you know he's dedicated.
Did people keep thinking he was a lifeguard or something?
Some people might
For the
have,
Coast Guard?
but it was incredible. Like watching it live in front of you. The Vancouver Symphonic Orchestra is phenomenal. I mean, nothing quite like your Met type Bandcamp wannabes, but whatever.
No Philly or New York, but they'll do.
Now, was it selections
That'll do,
from
donkey. That'll do.
Oh no, it was the entire
it was the
score.
whole movie? So you watched the whole entire movie.
We watched the
and
entire movie, and
that's cool.
There was probably 6 people in the audience who had never seen Back to the Future before.
That would be something, to see it the first time like that.
Wow, that's an amazing first way to have seen it with a live orchestra. Whoa.
Oh, it was fantastic. And the amazing thing is I remember exactly how I felt right at the end when Doc Brown turns to Marty and goes, "Roads? Where we're going, we don't need roads." And the DeLorean rises up and then flies off, and I'm sitting there going like, I had no idea a sequel was coming. Absolutely no idea. In fact, and this is unfortunately because if I recall, I think I was like 12 or 13 years old. I didn't realize at first that all of the actors were playing their younger selves in the past. I mean, yeah, the makeup was not great, when you look at it by today's standards, but I actually didn't realize that until like the second or third showing when I watched it. So it was sort of interesting retrospect on reflecting back in 1985 when I saw it the first time.
Well, Gavin, don't forget that it wasn't until home video that the "to be continued" was actually put on the ending. They actually didn't know it was going to be a sequel when it
Is that right?
When it was in its original theatrical release. It was just supposed to be a one-off. When they found out the orders that they needed for home video, they decided to tack it on because Universal decided they were going to make a sequel after that.
No way. I did not know that.
I remember that being a huge stir. People were like buying copies in droves to see if that was actually on there. I remember, oh God, where was I at the time? I think I was living, we just moved back to Ontario, and I remember like seeing a news broadcast and them talking about, Universal's added to the Back to the Future VHS, now coming, home video, to be continued. And they even showed like a little blurb of it. And
so instead of so the original theatrical release, I mean, every version you now see when you go to the movies to see it is all the digital versions have "to be continued." They no longer have the end sort of thing. But so originally, the first time was "to be continued" was on home video. It was actually also a huge thing that McDonald's was giving away with a Happy Meal. You could buy a SLP recording of Back to the Future for like $5 or $10 when you buy a Happy Meal, which was a steal at the time. But again, it was the SLP, so it was like the very poor quality and all that. But Back to the Future, and that was a huge thing as well, because again,
that was also the point where home video was like 2 or 3 years later.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So I mean, it's like, what, you have Back to the Future on video cassette?
Yeah.
It came out. The video came out in '86.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, it was such a big deal.
Yep.
But I know that the box set that was released like just after 2000 for Back to the Future, they took out the "to be continued."
Yeah.
It was left off.
Yeah.
Because they wanted it, because it was made from a theatrical print, which didn't have the "to be continued" on it. So
there's your Back to the Future minute sort of thing for.
Yeah.
There you go.
I learned something tonight. That's great.
Yeah. So after as we wrap up our coming attractions, we're going to move on to our next subject of the evening, And as we have been watching for the past couple of weeks, we are back to Disney Plus with the series Marvel Studios What If. And this particular episode, which is episode 7, we were given the What If Thor were an only child. Now, on the scale of dark to light, this is probably the lightest episode we have seen for the whole entire thing. This is
Party Thor.
This is the Party Thor episode. If you didn't know already, this is the Party Thor.
But Captain Marvel still made me feel icky. I don't know. Ugh.
I don't know. I thought the Captain Marvel versus Thor fight was actually probably the best fight I've seen between in terms of like power versus power.
It was a good fight. I just cringe when I see Carol Danvers in the MCU. It's just ugh. But the fight was good. I'll give you credit to that, Gavin. It was a good fight.
And when you look at the actual voice cast for this particular episode, you know that everyone was just sitting around reading lines, like filming the new Love and Thunder Thor movie and going, hey, we got a couple of lines for you to read and all that, because
they got everybody.
Natalie Portman is huge in this episode.
Mm-hmm.
We finally got Thor to say something. So Chris Hemsworth is there. Kat Denning is there. We have even Taika Waititi saying one line. Jeff Goldblum is in this. It's just
when I saw his name, I was shocked, and he's just like riding around on a moped and so he's not doing a whole lot. Like, what the hell?
Yeah.
So how did they get him for that?
We have Loki, Frost Giant Loki, which I was so thrilled to see that he was a Frost Giant, which is fantastic.
That was probably the best what if moment for me in that episode. Because it's like, oh yeah, I guess he could be like that, couldn't he?
Exactly. Yeah. I totally agree with you, Mike. As soon as they showed Frost Giant Loki, and I'm like, and again, Tom Hiddleston does the voice again and all that, and the fact that he has the ice horns as well, it's just and then he goes still by the name of Loki though.
Yeah, well, he would. That's his name.
Well, no, didn't Odin give him that name?
No.
Oh, really?
Loki, son of Lofrey. Loki, son of Lofrey.
Oh, I guess so. Yeah, I guess I didn't even think of that. Of course, yes.
Well, Odin, the all-seeing, would have known that.
Yeah, that's why. Like Loki's last name isn't Odin's son, like Thor.
Right. Yes. Okay. Yes. Sorry. Yeah, that's right. That is right. So the other thing is we have huge cameos from all the intergalactic characters. Anything from Guardians of the Galaxy to basically Thor Ragnarok, all the characters we're introduced to in those are back. It's just, it was just such.
There's a rabbit in the sink. Or the duck got married.
The duck got married. To Darcy of all people.
Darcy marries Howard the Duck, which is fantastic. Again, voiced by Seth Green, which is kind of cool and all that.
And that kind of is sort of a bit of a throwback to the old Howard the Duck movie. You know, like I got vibes of that.
Yeah,
I thought that was neat.
Sure. Yes.
Now, without the duck titties.
Someone had brought up the point that how could Thor, how is he worthy if he's this big party guy? How is he worthy to lift the hammer? And I shut that one down pretty quick by saying, because Odin never cast the worthy spell on Mjolnir, because he never had to send Thor to Earth as punishment. Yep. So he never did. Whoever's worthy to lift this hammer have the power of Thor. So that.
Wait a second. Here he drops it on Captain Marvel, and she can't get up. Now is she just relaxing there, or does it still have that power?
That's the question. Is if you're saying it does still have that power, then is Thor still worthy, even being such a party animal that he is? Is Odin like, as long as he's still a party animal, he's worthy?
Because I thought the same thing that you said about, obviously he didn't cast the spell, but then the moment he dropped it on her belly and she couldn't get up, it's like, oh, wait a second, either she's just chilling and relaxing, or it still has that power. And then maybe he's just a great party dude. He's worthy, man.
Yeah, maybe
it's a different spell on it.
Yeah,
you who shall party, you can lift the hammer.
Fine with the partying. As long as he's not starting wars, he's good.
Yeah, I like that. I could see
that's what
cool with
that's
that.
what caused him to send Thor in the first film, was because
Yep.
Thor did an unprovoked attack. But partying, that's fine. You can still be partying up and be worthy. Can't you?
Obviously, you can. Yes. Party on, dude.
Party on, I like this episode.
Party on, Garth.
It's not my favorite episode.
Oh my god!
But
Adrian
it was
talked
fun.
about that.
It was fun to watch.
We also got Colby Smothers returning for her role. We also had a brief Sam Jackson, a couple of lines,
Very
which
brief,
fantastic. Almost as brief as Taika Waititi with the one line of Korg. But just from and also because of the episodes we've just come off of being so dark, being so out of the normal, it was nice to have a lighthearted episode finally, to have something that is from start to the 99-yard line, like lighthearted, entertaining, because this episode ends on an actual cliffhanger.
And it ends pretty dark with Vision, Ultron, Thanos gone.
That was pretty cool. That I want to see more of that. I want to see what happens.
Well, this one goes back to what you were saying last week, where I would have been so pissed, because it's like, come on, you can't just leave us with that. But if there's a second episode, it's like, okay, you can leave us with that. I'll watch the next one.
My theory with what's going on with Ultron there is this was just what would have happened had he gotten the Vision body that he was commissioning.
Yeah, well,
and then still got the mind gem.
Yeah,
exactly. So, you mean I can collect them all and exterminate humanity? Sweet.
And like I mentioned in our chat that we had, my favorite line from the whole entire episode is when the Watcher is surprised by what's about to happen, and he says, "Wait, what?" Which is one of my favorite lines to hear an actual character respond with the "wait, what?" I mean, it's my favorite line being uttered in a movie, and to hear the Watcher of all voices going, "Wait, what?"
The all-knowing, all-seeing Watcher.
Yeah, which is fantastic.
Yeah,
and the fact that the Vision Ultron comes through a ring sling porthole, it looks like, does it not?
Yeah.
I mean, at least it was a sparkly portal. Let's put it a sparkly portal, whether or not it was a ring sling portal or something like that, but still, it was them. Again, every beat in this episode comedically was perfect. The Freya storyline. Now, it's not Renee Russo returning to do Freya, but the actress that did, again, they've done another great job as replacing the actress with the voice.
Yeah, it sounded really good.
Which had the right cadence, had the right feel to it. And the character was so Freya as well, which is great writing as well. And the fact that Jane has to figure out how to get in contact with Heimdall to get her to Freya to get and the fact that the end, Chris Hemsworth, and again, something else that I put in the chat is I want to see the actual video recording of Chris Hemsworth doing the voice acting, because he looked like he was being such a goofball, because we all seen behind the scenes stuff. Chris Hemsworth is a goofball, but when I want to see him doing the sound effects of Thor getting punched by Captain Marvel. I want to see Chris Hemsworth in the studio, exactly doing that, Trevor, doing the
Marvel did release the Zemo cut.
They did.
I'm sure they can release the behind the scenes. Like, why not? Love and Thunder's coming out. Get people hyped. Let's show it.
That's what I'm hoping that they
Kevin
do.
Feige, if you're listening to the podcast, Troy wants the behind the scenes cut.
Yeah. The thing that I love the most about this is that until we saw Ragnarok, you caught glimpses of Chris Hemsworth's comedic timing, but you really it really hammered home in Ragnarok.
I don't get it.
Just like how good.
I don't get it, Gavin. What do you
Can you
mean?
explain that one?
We'll explain it to you with pictures and crayons later.
Okay, check
It
the
really hammered
show
home
notes.
how good he was.
I like
with,
crayons.
with the comedic timing.
Also like crayons.
I think Kenneth Branagh in the very first Thor movie had said that
You making fun of me?
he wanted Thor to be kind of this noble, serious character, and it didn't quite see like it was fine for what it was, but it just didn't quite play off as good as it could have. But then once we started seeing Thor as sort of like, he's got the lines, it's like what the whole Loki's killed thousands of people, adopted brother, that whole thing, it just really played well. And with Ragnarok, it really showed that he could really play off the comedic side of Thor, and it just got better and better the more we got into like Endgame and Infinity War, and seeing him doing this it's even better now because you really see like what Thor it could be as the party guy. Makes me want to see him even more and more in the MCU.
I'm just hoping that they do the same thing that they did with the other.
They took a baby.
Yes, I know they took the baby.
Not the baby.
Yes,
Maybe
the
a
baby.
dingo ate your baby.
Yes. Where at the end of WandaVision, the end of Falcon and the Winter Soldier, the end of Loki, where they had a making of episode sort of thing, or like that hour-long special about the making of the Marvel what is it called? Whatever it's called. Anyways, the one where they showed the making of series. I hope they do something about the What If series, and hopefully
I really do too.
Yeah, and hopefully we'll see those behind the scenes, the actors coming back doing their roles and all that. Oh, seeing T'Challa. Oh, seeing Chadwick Boseman doing the voice of that might be a little bit
That
tough,
might be a little
but
hard though.
yeah, but still, if they have it, I hope they show it off, because again, to get what we've gotten, and then yeah. So, anyone else got anything else to say about the What If?
Just as a spoiler for next Wednesday, the episode is Tony Stark and Sakaar. So instead of it being Bruce Banner, Hulk going to Sakaar, it's Tony Stark. How would that be different?
Oh,
Tony with access to all that technology.
Tony up against the Grand Master in the arena, however it plays out. So I'm looking forward to Wednesday.
Okay, so it's pre-nanotech, right? Because that's when, right? It would have been pre-nanotech, right? Because it's Age of Ultron that Hulk.
No, he had the
right?
nanosuit when Banner got blasted at the end of Ragnarok. When he got blasted to Earth, Tony has the nanotech suit.
Yes, but when Hulk
Age of
disappears,
Ultron.
that's when Hulk disappears, correct?
Yeah.
So he didn't have
Tony
the tech.
didn't get the nanotech until
So if that's
after
when
Cap kicks his ass.
But it depends on when they take
when they're
Tony
going to send him.
Sakaar.
Yes. No, I'm just going by when Hulk went to go to Sakaar, right? That's why I said it was that.
And in 2 weeks, it's the Ultron Vision, Infinity Stones, and the Guardians of the Multiverse.
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of what we got a preview of with the Vision, with the Ultron, the Vision Ultron with all the stones.
So that's good that we get to see that this season.
Yeah,
that's exciting.
Yeah, at least, yeah. And then it wraps
Ultron,
up. And that's
no,
it.
wait, that doesn't sound right.
Yeah, well, I have to say that when he came through the portal and you see it's like the Ultron body and you've got the stones, and then when the head flips up and it's Vision's face in there with the Mind Stone, I was like, I want to see how that happens. I want to see that story.
But the head actually opens up like an Iron Man mask, practically, doesn't it?
It does.
Yeah. Oh, can't wait. Now, again, you guys said it wasn't your favorite episode. I mean, so far, what has been your favorite episode out of them?
Zombies.
So yeah, I'm gonna go with Zombies as well.
Zombies was probably my favorite episode, followed very closely by the Doctor Strange. If he lost his heart.
I lost his heart instead of his hands. Yeah.
Those were just, and then it was basically for me 3, 4, 5. As you do it 5, 4, 3. So you have the Zombies, Strange, and then the Avengers getting taken down by Mad Henry Pym or Hank Pym. That was
for me.
I really like Captain Carter. but I don't think it stands as strong as those other 3 episodes.
For me, it was episode 6. What if Killmonger rescued Tony Stark? I think there's so much good in there. It spans so much of the Marvel universe. And just that moment of T'Challa talking from the afterlife, that was so haunting to me.
Yeah.
It was so powerful. So for me, that's one.
And when we break it down, right? When we say like the worst episode out of these, the worst episode is still really well done. It's still
I mean,
right.
Yeah,
I mean,
still
there's
has good moments.
Yeah. Again, even
it's like the worst of this is still better than most of the stuff that's been put out there. It's still
For sure.
the worst of this
For
is still
sure.
better than all of the Bad Batch.
Yeah.
So I'm still sorry about the Bad Batch. I'm sorry.
What do you say, Gavin? What did you say, Gavin? What's your favorite episode?
I really liked Captain Carter. The first one. It grabbed me. I mean, I've always been a fan of like technology and basically taking the skinny Steve Rogers and throwing him into effectively an Iron Man suit. I'm sorry, I'm sold on that.
Hydra Stomper.
Yeah, I agree with you there too, Gavin. But I'm gonna have to fall back myself on zombies as well, just because I like where Captain Carter went. I mean, I know it's just a retelling of an already done story, just gender change, but I like the look of it. Being the first one also helps a lot and all that. But yeah, zombies, just because, zombies.
While we're talking
Exclamation
about
point.
zombies, I was going to ask this offline, but hey, we're doing this live.
Okay.
The way Trev and I did the Wizards.
When you're listening to this right
podcast-
now, we're actually doing this live.
Yes. Zombies. We should do a conversation about zombies at some point, whether it's an addendum or
I'm up for that.
a thing, because this is a thing that I've been thinking about since we started, how, especially Troy and Trevor, you love your zombies. Zombies freak me out. I don't like them. But that could be a fun conversation, just like the Gandalf. Is he a wizard? Is he a sword fighter? It could be a good conversation. So something to think about.
Sure.
If only there were an appropriate time of the year to be talking about zombies.
I know.
I'm guessing Arbor Day. That's like
Hey,
What I think
about
about
zombie day, isn't it?
with zombies,
Arbor Day?
Arbor Day,
Come on,
always.
There you
go
go.
hand in
Yeah.
hand,
No, that sounds
hand
good.
in
That sounds
rotting
good.
hand.
Hand in
Let
hand.
me put that in my Rolodex.
Yes. Let me go buy a Rolodex and figure out how to work one.
Adrian's coming with the Rolodex.
All righty then.
Is she curling? Is she saying hurry?
Hurry!
Hurry hard?
Hard! Hurry!
No, the baby's crying out.
Oh.
So she's coming to go upstairs.
If anyone was
Alrighty
doubting
then.
whether or not this was a more or less a Canadian podcast, now you know.
Yes.
Yep. The daughter's curling upstairs and Adrian's got to sweep.
And Hadrian's got a sweep.
I already took care of Harrison earlier. But now Mare's home, so if he starts to cry, she'll grab him, but he should be good.
Alrighty then. So on that note, we're going to move on to our next subject matter. And this is something that we've been looking forward to for a while. Once first of all, the idea was given to us about a year ago when D23 happened in 2020, when Disney dropped every single title that they're going to be giving us Star Wars in the next decade sort of thing. But one of the items was at the time a very small thing, which was referred to as Star Wars Visionaries. And basically it was given to us in a little capsulized version of, it was a bunch of different animation houses doing their own take on Star Wars. And that's all that we got. A couple of months ago, we actually got a teaser trailer, which was a 5-minute thing, where they interviewed a bunch of the different artists from the different studios and what they wanted to do and what they were going to do for this whole entire thing, interspliced with cutscenes from the upcoming shorts. This past Wednesday, we got all 9 episodes, all shorts, dropped to us. Now, when they say shorts, we're talking like 12 to 22 minutes. So we're talking almost full-length episodes, which is kind of neat. And we're going to just talk about each of the individual 9 episodes, because if you've been listening to this podcast, and like I said, we're on our 20th episode right now, and we're fans of animation. We went to schooling for it. We've all been, well, one of us constantly is in the world of anime with his family, but we've all
Believe it.
We've all watched it in the past. We watch it currently. We've gone out to showings at movie theaters for movies we probably didn't want to see on the big screen, but
my.
that's neither here nor
We
there.
have seen some things.
Yes, we've seen so many things. But again, anything from like Ranma 1/2 to Akira to anything in between.
Bubblegum Crisis.
Astro Boy.
Exactly. Astro
Legend
Boy.
of the Overfiend.
Oh, hopefully not.
Exactly. Yeah. Well,
That's not right, man. That's not right.
we're talking Ninja Scroll. We're talking everything under the sun, and we get Star Wars Visions, which again, like I said, it's different animation houses, Japanese houses doing their own take on the Star Wars universe. So in episode 1, it's the Kamikaze Duga company doing the episode called The Duel. So when we come to a quick little synopsis of what The Duel is all about, The Duel is quite simply a wandering stranger with a mysterious past defends a village from powerful bandits. Again, it's just a very capsulized review, but as a first episode,
It was awesome.
yeah,
Oh my
for
God.
sure.
The art style was incredible. Honestly, this is the thing I think George Lucas way back when would have watched and went, oh, let's make a movie about this sort of stuff. This was 100%, early samurai film quality, like all those, like Yojimbo and all of those samurai films.
That's exactly what I got from that too, Trevor. I was looking at it. It's like, oh, it's black and white. Why are you doing it in black and white? Oh, it kind of looks like an Akira Kurosawa film. Wait a second. Seven Samurai. Star Wars was based on that. Holy crap. Like, yes, this is like,
and the only thing that had color in the whole film were the lightsabers.
Yep.
And it was gorgeous to look at, very graphic. It felt like I was reading like a manga book. It had that very, 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 very illustrative style, but it moved. And it was like, holy, how much work went into that to take that illustrative style and make it move convincingly. And it was gorgeous. I mean, if that thing had been expanded out, I think it was 14 minutes long, 15 minutes long.
Yeah, something
if that was like a hour and 45 minute or 2 hour movie, I would be sitting there with the first piece of popcorn still in my hand because I haven't put it in my mouth yet, just watching in awe.
You look at what the sequels could be, you look at what the prequels could have been. Everything was in this episode.
Yeah, and this was just a short little story, but told so beautifully.
I love it when the lightsaber's coming down and he catches it between his hands using the Force. So, you're a Jedi. I'm no Jedi. And he pulls out the red saber. It's like, what? Yeah,
I really enjoyed the take on the lightsaber, like the umbrella style.
That was great.
Everything about that episode was innovative, but at the same time, it had the Star Wars feel of it felt like it was old, like everything's well used. Unlike Star Trek, that was my biggest thing at Star Trek. Everything feels like it's just fresh off the assembly line. Star Wars always feels like it's been around the block, probably had been repaired a couple times, and maybe the guts have been ripped out and replaced 4 or 5 times. This felt like it came right out of the Star Wars universe. Like there's no mistaking it.
Definitely.
Well, Gavin was talking about the umbrella, because I hated in the official prequels with the spinning lightsabers and just, it's just too much going on. So when they did the umbrella, I was like, oh, that's kind of weird, but that's kind of cool. It's something new, but I kind of believe it. And then when they take the lightsaber out of the thing where it's like the umbrella part's like a housing for the official sword, it's like, oh, that's just way too cool. Yeah, I thought that was a great weapon.
Troy?
Yeah, so like you guys said, everything it was for a first episode as well is so spot on. It's black and white feel, definitely like a perfect samurai film. The only thing that had, I mean, we're introduced to a Celestian along with our main character, who is human, with a droid. The droid has color on it because its little lights are different colors.
And the straw hat.
And over a straw hat.
How
Yeah,
cool
it's
is
not a
that?
full dome, it's a straw hat, and its lights are poking out from behind it, which is fantastic. We're introduced to a Celestian that tries to help our Ronin, because we find out that he's a Ronin near the beginning. And then these bandits come into town, which are men dressed in partial stormtrooper armor. They're wearing it like knight's armor sort of thing. So they're not a full stormtrooper helmet, but it's got like the breathing apparatus on the cheeks. The visors are open, or some are just got the visors on the front face mask and the heads open and all that. Some are wearing pieces of shoulder armor and all that. They're trying to take over a small town. They're trying to fleece them for whatever they did, and this town has had enough, so they've hired mercenaries to take them out, which is your whole entire Seven Samurai sort of storyline. And we're introduced to an array of different bad guys. We've got, one of them is a Tusken Raider. One of them is
awesome.
Yeah, the Tusken Raider is a fantastic. There's a battle droid. Oh, sorry, no, there's a I want to say a Death Star droid. I can't remember what the model of that is. There is, which is basically a protocol droid with a minigun, a blaster minigun. There is my favorite one is the probe droid that is gutted out and being flown by a Dug, which is a friggin' Sebulba from Phantom Menace, which is fantastic. The main merc is a Bosk character. I can't remember what the lizard busks are. And so anyways, they're just, and he's
one thing
got
I have to say about all that is watching it, it's like, why are all these weird aliens here? Like, why is a Tusken Raider here? But I don't care. It's too awesome.
So they quickly take out the stormtrooper characters, and then yes, thank you. And then in comes the big bad for the Imperial team, and it's a Sith. It's this female Sith who has, like we said, the umbrella thing, and she does the whole entire spinny thing. It turns out it's just a housing for it, and she quickly cleans up with the whatnot. And then the Ronin decides, okay, I'm gonna come in here, and the two of them battle it out, and it's just a fantastic first episode. And
the ending, the Buddha with the lightsaber in the waterfall.
Yes,
come on, that was so good.
Look, if this hasn't convinced you enough, please just go ahead and watch this episode. I mean, out of all the episodes, I'm going to say right now, out of all the episodes, this is my favorite one. Same. Just because of the look, the sound. I was actually kind of blown away because everything prior to this, nothing was spoken in English. What we saw on Disney Plus was obviously dubbed versions of it, but beautifully dubbed versions of it. I'm going to rewatch these, and I'm going to see if there is an option to watch it with the original Japanese voice actors. Hopefully Disney has that available to us, but other than that, that was a great first episode. Then we go.
You can do the Japanese audio with the English subtitles.
Excellent. I'm definitely going to rewatch that for sure with the original audio. Yeah, so that'd be kind of cool. So the next up we have is in contrast in both the style and probably story is Tatooine Rhapsody. And it's a band with big dreams must save one of their own from Jabba the Hutt and Boba Fett. Now, personally, I think, if I'm not mistaken, this is probably the lowest one for all of us, sort of thing. I mean, the little kid version style is kind of cool and all that, but when it comes to story-wise, I didn't. Okay, for the Boba Fett guy in the group, I don't like the fact that Boba Fett and Jabba the Hutt were in this. I didn't like the fact that this particular episode was connected to the rest of the Star Wars universe, because I thought the idea was for them not to be. You can talk about stuff that's there. You can do ideas with stuff with there, but bringing in actual existing characters, I think sort of defeated the purpose of this experiment.
For me, I did not mind that the characters were there personally. I just thought it was a terrible story.
It unfortunately was.
If it was a great story, I'd be like, oh yeah, Boba Fett. But because it was so bad, it's like, oh, come on.
I'm 100% with you on that, Michael. If it had been a more engaging, a more... It seemed to even be edited poorly. It looked like it jumped around a little more than it should, because, okay, and let's go to the next story beat. Let's cut to the next story beat. And I don't know. I mean... And
it didn't feel like Star Wars. Even though there's the Cantina band,
Yeah.
Jabba's got, you got the Max Rebo band, and that exists in the Star Wars universe, but this didn't feel like it.
No. What do you think, Trev?
I like the style. I thought the animation was nice and fluid, but it felt like a bad role-playing session in terms of story. It really did. It was like someone was like, fuck it, I start a band.
Who's the GM in that one?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Like, you do what now?
Matt would be the GM. Matt would be the GM.
Yeah. And it was just, I sat through it and I was just like, it's just bad storytelling. Like, it was just like they started with a bad idea and then didn't pull it off well. And I mean, I like the style. I would definitely watch any other story in that style. Well, maybe not the first one. But it just, I mean, in terms of visually, it looked great. It was just the story. I mean, was a perfect example of story trumps visuals. If you can have the greatest visuals in the world, but a shit story is just, it's not going to hold. So, yeah.
And I think there's ways they could have made it work, but for whatever reason, it just didn't.
Yeah.
Gavin?
I didn't really like the chibi style they were using. It just didn't suit. Like, Boba Fett absolutely did not look right like that.
Jabba did. First, I did like the Jabba though. Jabba the Hutt looked kind of cool in that style.
Yeah, but like if you're going to feature a main character like Boba Fett in there, it just doesn't fit in right with that style. I mean, if they had done him kind of tall and lanky, standing beside Jabba, I think that would have worked a lot better. But basically, every single character had the big head and kind of super deformed body, as they call it. I didn't mind the music in it; it wasn't too bad. But like the story was very disjointed. Some nice touches though. I mean, like Jabba's like watching, and then you see his tail kind of twitching to the music. That's okay. That adds a little bit here, but definitely not my favorite story for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Now, after we got that, we move on to episode 3, which turns out to be that last one was let me see, Studio Colorado did the Tatooine Rhapsody. So the next one being done by the company known as Trigger is called The Twins.
And I just have to say, watching this is the one I was most curious to hear your guys' feedback for.
Okay, so this is twins born into the dark side, clash aboard a massive Star Destroyer. Well, that sort of really capsulizes that idea. So here we go, back with actual twins that know they're twins from birth. They're born of the dark side. I don't think this is something. First of all, this is not an experiment the Imperials would take part of, because this is clearly Imperials. We can tell by the technology, the look of the ship, it is definitely a Star Destroyer. It is an Empire Strikes Back era Star Destroyer. Anything before this doesn't look like that. Anything after that doesn't look like that when it comes to Star Destroyers. So it's obviously the Empire is doing this experiment.
It's supposed to be like in the aftermath of the Empire's defeat. So
exactly,
this is like an offshoot of the Empire,
like a remnants. So we're looking at a Timothy Zahn era sort of.
Yeah.
Okay, if I reset myself to that, okay, I'll give it a little more of a leeway. But I like the style. Again, completely different than the other 2 episodes so far and all that. It's a very, very fluid motion of characters and whatnot. I like the design. Again, we were listening to the English voice acting, which I don't think was as strong as the other 2 to begin with. But I kind of enjoyed the episode, but I couldn't get behind the actual idea behind the story. Kyber crystals. They power suit outside without some sort of environment suit to protect yourself from being
We're using the Force.
That was
I
the
know.
big one
Or
for me. I
Wizards
had
did
to
it.
say
One of the
that.
2.
Yeah, Troy, that's one that got me. It's like you're standing in space, and
Yeah, your
but then-
sister is in a pseudo Darth Vader suit, and you're running around like you're Leia blasted out of a ship, sort of thing.
the robot's
There's no-
wearing a helmet,
the
a space
world-
helmet.
The robot
but
was
they're
wearing a
fine.
helmet. Yeah, like
But I had to rationalize this. Like maybe it's a nebula that has some oxygen. I don't know.
could be.
I gotta say, as I started watching this one, the first thing I thought was, this looks very familiar. And then I went back, looked up the director. The director was Hiroyuki Imaishi. Now, his content is incredible. Like he directed Gurren Lagann, Kill la Kill, Panty Stocking Garter. There's this very specific style that he's known for, and this was just full of it. It was very clearly his style, and so for me, visually, this was one of my favorite of all of them so far. Just the sheer look, the sheer style, the fight scenes, everything about it was screaming that it was done by this director. And like, yeah, sure, the story was a little bit off, but I mean, this is one of the ones where, as Trev said, story, basically will ruin, like a bad story will ruin great visuals. For me, great visuals made this a very enjoyable experience, despite the story. Just everything about it just felt kind of like just fluid, just amazing. Just in general, I love the style.
It was very Looney Tunes. It was very squash and stretch for the characters. The fights, and I'll give it that. Yeah, no, visually it looked really cool. And again, it was completely different, and it was another style of anime that's something that I don't watch regularly and all that. But the cool thing is, good points for them, for you being able to recognize and like, hey, I know this. That looks familiar. Is it this person? Hey, it is that person. Kind of cool and all that. Again, the very elastic version of all the characters, the squash and stretch was fantastic. The fight between the new weapons, that multiple whipped laser lightsaber, whatever the sister had against the brother and all that was kind of neat and all that. And I won't give it away for that. Won't take it away from that. The design of those 2 Star Destroyers married together with the giant blaster in the center looked really cool.
Yeah.
I still don't understand how it works.
Yeah.
What do you think there, Trev?
Fucking hated it. This episode I just fucking hated.
Oh, I'm so
It
glad
just-
you said that, because I loved it. So go.
It felt like a 13-year-old wrote the story and was like, "Oh, you'll be cool," and then we'll take 2 Star Destroyers, we'll pop them together, and they'll be fighting, and one will be standing on an X-wing, and the other will be standing, and it's like, but they can't breathe in space. Oh, that doesn't matter. This is what 100% what this episode was a 13-year-old high on Jolt Cola rambling, and people were quickly scribbling down, going, "Fuck it, yeah, we can make this episode." That's what it felt like. Yeah, as Gavin said, the visuals were gorgeous. Very much reminded me of several series that this gentleman has directed, but it was just one piece of garbage slapped on the other. It was like a giant shit sandwich, and you're expected to smile and eat it. And it was just like, I almost turned it off. Like I had my hand hovering over the, I'll go to another episode because there's got to be something better than this. Yeah, visuals were great, but it couldn't salvage just the crap fest that was that story. Like, you ask a 3-year-old or even ask a 4-year-old, can people survive without helmets in space? And they're like, no. They didn't seem to figure that out. Yeah, and it just felt like, the whole, like, Leia doing the Mary Poppins after the bridge got blown out and it was just like, oh my God, they could have this fight in the hangar of one of the Star Destroyers and that would have been fine. But the fact that, and then he, oh, well, I'll use the hyperdrive to boost my lightsaber. Again, it felt like they had a late night role-playing session to try to come up with a story, and they had a sugar high 13-year-old running it and who kept saying, I got a great idea for this. And they were like, fuck it, we'll do it. Yeah. So my impression of episode 3 for this was just fucking hated it.
This is why I was so looking forward to comments.
I mean,
I knew there had to be some conflict in this one.
Yeah,
because for me, it was one of my favorite ones, but I agree with everything Trevor said, but I don't care. There's so much of it that doesn't make sense. The breathing in space, it's like, okay, well, if you're gonna Mary Poppins it, well, at least look cool.
Yeah, but they yelled at each other in space. You can't hear when someone's yelling at you in space. There's no fucking air.
It's the Force. It's all good.
No. Again,
why does he have an X-wing? That's weird. It would make a lot more sense if he has a TIE fighter or something, or a
really the blonde character with the blue lightsaber having an X-wing is weird to you.
Don't forget the one
they're
glove.
twins. They're Siths. They were made by the Empire.
Why the hell does he have a blue lightsaber if he's a Sith?
Like, where did all this stuff come from? It doesn't make any sense.
So
I agree with Trevor. Like, they could have thought this through, but it's so cool.
They didn't.
And even when he split the Star Destroyer in half, it reminds me of that stupid sequel movie that I try to block out of my brain. But for some reason, it's like, oh, he kind of did the same sort of thing, but it's kind of cool, like cutting a Star Destroyer with the lightsaber. So I was so conflicted with this one because there's so much that I like. There's so many story flaws. But kind of like what Gavin said, I think the animation for me trumps the story on this. I can script doctor it in my head enough. It's like, yeah, they're in an air nebula. Of course they can breathe in space. It's fine. What's the robot need a mask? I don't know. Maybe he has allergies in his robot eyes to oxygen. I don't know.
Okay,
but anyways, I did enjoy
thinking about it. Just accept.
Yeah. That I couldn't accept. I mean, the visuals were cool. I will say, I will be the first to admit the visuals in that particular one are cool, but it's definitely one you're like, hey, I'm going to take my brain and go and set it over here and then watch the episode. And then when it's done, I'll put my brain back in and go, oh, what happened? How long was I out? I think I was out like 20 minutes. That's fine. Yeah.
So like Homer, that's it. I'm out of here.
Exactly.
Next. I'm so glad that one. That one.
That's
made me
it.
happy.
You've stood.
Thank you guys.
Stood in my way. You've stood in my way long enough. I'm going to clown college.
I don't think anyone expected to say that.
All right. So on that cheery note, we're going to move on to the next episode, which is basically Kinema Citrus is bringing us episode 4, which is The Village Bride. Now, this is a Jedi on the run takes in the unique customs of a remote village under threat by a warlord. So, anyone else want to start off with this one? Because I'm gonna have to admit that it took me almost the whole entire episode to actually get into this particular one. I was confused. I actually had to stop it, start it all over again, because I think I might have looked away at my phone and something and realized, wait, who's this character up on the screen right now? And so I don't think I was 100% there for this whole entire episode.
I'm right behind you on that one. I watched this episode and I'm like, did I blink at the wrong time? When did this person show up?
Yeah. Who is the guy with the removable helmet piece?
Yeah, it felt like I came in like it started 5 minutes before, and then I came in, and I was like, oh, okay, I'll just try to catch up as I go.
It's like we missed the opening crawl of this episode.
Exactly. And so it was tough to figure, but once it got towards the end, things started making a little bit more sense that, she was a fallen Jedi, on the path of redemption. It was like, oh, okay, this starts to make a little bit more sense.
Yeah.
Visually, I mean, the backgrounds in this one was just gorgeous.
Mm-hmm.
And they had some really nice. I mean, I remember watching and thinking, "There's some beautiful camera moves they did that integrated, and things were moving in the camera move." You're like, was that a 3D environment, or is that all done 2D with just some really, really sweet animation thrown in? So yeah,
I think technically, out of all these ones, this is probably, like you said, that one. I don't know again if it's a 3D that they just whatever, or if it's all 2D animation where it's got that rotating look and all that. Blowing my mind sort of thing. Again, you get this sort of thing from studios that know how to do this sort of thing. And again, I just think the story suffered from something that either I wasn't pulled into it, or I just like,
because you're looking at your phone, Troy.
Well, no,
I mean, privy to it for some reason.
Yeah, exactly. It took me, like I said, it took me a while to get in this episode. And again, like all these episodes, visually, they're all stunning. And again, it's another style from the other ones, which is another fantastic thing. And it's a thing about anime. Nothing ever looks like anything else, which is kind of cool. And again, once I got into it, it was a cool episode. But again, it took me, I think, too long for such a short amount of time to actually understand what's going on. So what do you guys think?
For me, I was in the zone for it, so I didn't have distractions. I just focused. It felt very Studio Ghibli in the vibe, and it didn't feel very Star Wars, except in some key moments.
The battle droids.
There's a couple moments that felt kind of Star Warsy, even like when the rock started glowing. That felt like in The Mandalorian. There was little moments, but I liked it as a story. It was very simple, but I didn't hate it. Like, I thought, it's like, okay, it's very chill. It is very slow, so I can see why if you had a phone on you, you'd be easily distracted. But I would still give this one a thumbs up. Gavin?
I thought it was pretty good. You're right, though. It was a very slow burner. Very slow to start. I didn't quite know where it was going. It didn't feel like it was sort of making much progress until the daughter kind of was offered up in exchange for the chieftain. I think something I'm starting to see, though, which I'm a little concerned that they're going to start overusing, is basically using the Force to stop the blaster from hitting someone.
That's going to drive me crazy too. I agree.
That happened in the previous episode and happened in this episode. It's only happened a couple in a few Star Wars episodes or Star Wars stories, but three is a little.
It was only used once. It was only used once.
And that was only Kylo Ren who was supposed to have that kind of power.
Yeah.
So, I just hope they don't keep using that as the trope. I mean, deflecting with your lightsaber. I mean, that's.
I mean, Darth Vader blocked them, but
Vader blocked
Sparks.
it with his hand.
He didn't freeze it in time.
Kylo's the only one to stop it in its tracks and hold it
and
there.
Now we have two more Jedis who can do that.
Yeah.
Where were you guys?
Yeah. Where were you during Order 66?
That's the other thing about that. That's the other thing about these things is there's no actual. The good thing is there's no actual particular time that we're given. You can sort of ascertain by costumes or what technologies around them when they roughly come out, but for the most part, you don't know when these are taking place, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, it's gonna be people on Reddit trying to figure all this out.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, where they happen in the timeline.
But that's the great thing about Star Wars in general is when we were playing the Star Wars RPG, where there was a sort of a rough time frame where it was all kind of taking place. But I mean, it could have happened before Jedi, after Jedi. it didn't matter because the story was not tied to the happenings in the film itself.
All right. So on that note, we're going to go on to production IG's episode 5, which is The Ninth Jedi. Now, as we go to, again, the capsulized description of this one is: the daughter of a lightsaber smith is pursued by dark forces while on a dangerous mission. Well, I'm just saying that if I had read that description before I actually watched this episode, I'm like, spoiler alert.
Yeah.
But again, this is another one that I really got into, sort of thing. I mean, it was a weird idea. This is probably one of the episodes that is far into the future from our current knowledge of the Star Wars universe. It looks like it at a time when everything is lost, or it's 1,000 years prior, sort of thing.
Knights of the Old Republic kind of,
Yeah, like
in between then and the
exactly,
the new one.
yeah.
Yeah.
The concept is fantastic. What is this? Is it the third episode that has kyber crystals as a main sort of trope, sort of thing?
There's
I mean,
a lot of kyber crystals.
there's a lot of kyber
lot
crystals
of
in
them.
these shows, yes. And the other
Finding them everywhere.
and the other thing is, yeah, you can find them everywhere. You can, especially on this friggin' planet.
No, they were finding in the asteroids.
Right, sorry, on the planet, right, because they were launching, which was actually
Catapulting the
quite the
claws.
the slingshots to catch them, which was ingenious, which also shows the technology is either not there or has been lost or something like that, which is kind of neat. But I really enjoyed it. The idea behind it was kind of cool. And it, again, visually, it's the type of anime that I really enjoy. It's a very clean anime, very clean design. You can tell who's who. All the Earth humans look alike because they have the same similar sort of placement of everything. And it was an enjoyable episode. I like the twist at the end. I like how the reveal of both
Who's who?
who's who, the idea behind the lightsaber adjusting to the user and not the manipulation of the kyber crystal itself, which was kind of
I like that it was just a one-off line that the Smith said.
Yeah.
You know, because when she fired up that saber and she's like, it doesn't look like the others. And he's like, well, it's, the simple line of it has to adjust to the user. And then, when they jump up into the thing and the guy's got the one and he, everyone else like, ooh, and he's like, I want to hold it. And like, oh, pass it to me. And bam, it's a blue saber. And you're like, oh, okay. So yeah, he's that kind of Jedi. It was a really nice setup. There was a setup and payoff beautifully in that story. It was very small, but very telling, because then with the big reveal, and you're like, oh shit. So yeah.
And the idea of the invisible blade was really neat. That's something I've never seen before, and it still worked, which was cool.
And you still couldn't see it because it's invisible. Anywho, how? But yes, again, it was a well composed story. It was engaging. It was again, like the other ones, beautifully animated. The designs were fantastic. The backgrounds were very basic, very, very barren, but still told a lot in a little, which is fantastic, which is what you hope to get from this sort of thing.
It felt like a solo RPG run.
I was gonna say that.
Just you and the game master, and you're running the girl character, and you have to go from point A, pick up something, go to point B, and that's when the battle happens.
That's exactly what I was going to say, Trevor. So this was like Studio Ghibli and one of our Star Wars RPGs.
Yeah, and it was just like a one-on-one.
Yep. And that's a good thing. This is a compliment.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good ideas in there, stuff I've never seen before and never even thought to see before, like the meteor catapults and like a lightsaber smith and like where you would mine for kyber crystals. and the fact that lost Jedis are looking for these weapons because they're too derpy of Jedi to make their own, right? It's
Well,
like
there's a book, I can't remember which one it is now, where there was a throwaway line of during the Clone Wars, there was a group of Jedi who spent, all they did was they were manufacturing lightsabers as fast as they could. Normally, a process that would take weeks or even months to do, and they were doing it in days just to get sabers out to Jedi who didn't have time to, they needed them out on the field. So they're like, these guys are just making sabers, and you could see how if you had skipped that step from being Padawan to Jedi, you didn't get a chance to make your own saber because they just needed you on the field. Now it could eventually become a lost art, and the people who are manufacturing these sabers would eventually get a title of sabersmith because this is what they do.
yeah, I thought that was such a neat idea.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about, Trevor. I think I vaguely remember reading that too, and I'm trying to think.
Remember what book that's from.
Was it a book or was it a comic?
No, it was in a book because it was the characters were talking about. It might have been even the short anthology books of you remember the ones for Solo and Carissian and stuff
Yeah,
like that.
Yeah.
And I think it was one of those, and they were talking about during the height of the Clone War to get the Jedi out and armed, they just a couple of masters went off to the side and just cranked out lightsabers.
Yeah. Now that you say it that way, yeah, I do remember reading something like that. Off the top of my head, I do not know what it could have been or where I would have read it. But anyways,
Google just says Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, but I think that's a video game.
Yeah, so I just, if you take that and then advance the point where the Jedi Order is nearly extinct, you'd probably have, being a sabersmith would be like a path someone takes, and all you do is make, you're a Jedi to some degree, but all you do is make sabers.
Yeah.
Or at least you understand how to make them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So for all those reasons, I love the episode. I thought it was very satisfying. Great
and
story,
it honestly, as I said,
good payoff.
It felt like a one-on-one RPG, and it was just like, this is exactly how you would get someone who's just wrote up a character, get them introduced to it, get them into the mechanics, get them into a big battle, and then introduce them to the other players.
I'm actually thinking a group RPG where the game master called all the other guys off to the side. By the way, you're all Sith. And then there's that one guy left over. It's like, oh, you bastards.
Well, everyone got their character sheet, and on the top is a post note saying Sith or Jedi.
That totally tracks like something we probably would have come up with if we were just a little. But again, this is the story idea that I was hoping to see with every single one of these. Something completely different, something out of left field. Story. Yeah, exactly. Still Star Wars, but something we've never
seen. We hadn't seen before.
Yeah, exactly. And this one gave it to us in I don't know what I'm trying to say.
In spades.
In spades.
Give it to us in spades.
It gave it to us in spades. That is the phrasing I was looking for. But yes, definitely. Gavin, what did you think about this episode?
I love the twist. The entire buildup. All you can think of is, well, it's really convenient that this guy's summoning all of the Jedis to this location, and the voice sounds, well, evil, just enough to make you go, oh, okay, he's just totally he's gonna kill all of these Jedi. Like, he's obviously a Sith. Oh no, he's the good guy. Holy shit. That threw me right off. I was not expecting that at all.
And the fact that he was hiding in a robot.
Exactly. It was not nothing at all what I was expecting. And having aliens as Sith Lords, that was a huge surprise to me.
Yeah, the new designs of whatever those aliens were that we've never seen before was again something that I was hoping to see with all the episodes.
And the one Sith whose saber went purple.
Yes, exactly. I was so thrilled to see a purple lightsaber in that. That was really cool. So yeah. So high marks on this particular episode, that's for sure.
Yes.
All right.
Now, just so you guys know, I haven't seen anything past this episode yet.
Okay.
So Gav, do this. No, through the headphones.
Through the headphones. He can't hear you. He's taking off his headphones. All right, for
Hey.
that silence little there for everyone, that was Gavin exiting from the sequence
some
right now
horrible
because he
We'll
doesn't
make an
want.
end and
That was
get
very bad
so everybody
pantomime,
can
but
enjoy it.
yes, you guys can be looking forward to this on YouTube soon enough. All right, so as
We'll
we
look
move
forward to
on
this on
to Science Saru and episode 6, and this is TOB1.
2B1.
2B1, yes, 2B1, yes. Sorry, I guess that would be a more proper way to have put it. And this is going to be described as a cybernetic boy who dreams of being a Jedi discovers a dangerous truth about his creator. So it says that he's a cybernetic boy. Cybernetic
Mhm.
means part human.
No.
Is cyborg, right? Human cyborg relations would be
Yeah, but I don't think
Cybernetic is-
organism.
I think he's listed in some of the other things that he's a droid. He's
Yeah,
100%
yeah.
mechanical.
Okay. So this particular style by Science Saru has a very Astro Boy feel to it. It is
100%.
so throwback to Astro Boy in the fact that his master, as I put in quotes, master, looks like the professor from, like, with the giant over nose. It's very cartoony. The character
It
design
is.
is very
Calls him
cartoony.
Toby too.
And Toby himself is also, yes, who is this droid that it's a very endearing story. I mean, it's a very cute coming of age for a droid story, learning to, I don't know, to become a Jedi. I guess, to realize that his creator, who created him, was also a former Jedi to begin with, and now he's trying to figure out a way to bring life to a dying planet. He's a terraformer, I guess you can say, right? Yeah. And he unfortunately passes on, and Toby decides to take up the mantle of trying to figure out.
Toby inadvertently summons a Sith Inquisitor.
Sorry. Wow. I completely glanced over the point there and all that.
Yeah.
But yeah. So this is a very childish looking, very kid friendly, like, Toby is a cute looking droid. He is a very, like I said, Astro Boy feel to him and all that. And well, what did you guys think of this particular episode? Because I enjoyed it, but it didn't seem like it was a Star Wars story except for the lightsabers. Yeah,
for me, I wanted to like it because I like Mega Man, the video game.
Mega Man,
I
that's
like
another
Astro Boy.
Yeah,
that kind of thing. So I thought, oh, this will be really interesting. And just because of time, to be honest, I skipped most of the episode. Just I couldn't get engaged with it. So I don't have much to say about this one. Trevor?
I mean, as a kid, I watched a lot of Astro Boy before going off to school every morning.
Yeah.
So I've always liked Astro Boy, Mega Man. I like the recent CG Astro Boy movie. It was felt very Astro Boy. Like that's, so I like the style. But it was the Tales of the Bounty Hunters, that book where they had the different bounty hunters. And at one point, one of the droids, Forlom, wanted to learn to be a Jedi. He wanted to learn that Force sense and stuff like that. And it was very clearly spelled out to him that, the Force is it's an energy field generated by living beings. And as a droid, he will never touch that field. It's just never going to happen. And so when I was watching this episode, I'm like, please let there be even just a shred of organics in this kid. And there isn't. He's a droid. So it was just like, it's like, the kid with a disability that is going to hold him back from getting that profession he wants. And you're like, it's never going to happen, but somehow he does. And that's, I think, what spoiled this episode for me was, they could have done it I mean, revealed at the end that he wasn't a fully droid being, that he was, there was like a living brain inside that head or something, but they didn't. And so the whole time I'm like, he can't be a Jedi. He's not going to be, he's not living, so he's not part of that field. And then they were like, oh, he's going to be a Jedi, so let's make him a Jedi anyway. And it's like, no, I mean, yeah, you're given the freedom to play around in the Star Wars universe and tell whatever story. Oh God, there's a Gavin. It's terrifying. But there are certain rules you can't break. And that was one of them. And it was just like, to me, that was such a disappointment. And it's, yeah, it's that was the only part of the whole story that kind of fell. It's like that one crucial point. It's like, if you guys have ever seen that movie Fear.com, and the whole twist is the fact that the girl's a hemophiliac. Girls can't be hemophiliacs. It's only boys can be
impossible.
Yeah, so it's the whole premise of the movie is flawed right from the get-go because someone didn't do their due diligence and do a little bit of research before writing the story. And that's, to me, it's such a tragic mistake, but it's, if you go down that road where you start off with a flawed concept from the get-go, you can shine that turd all you want, but in the end of the day, it's still a turd. So as much as I wanted to I love the style. I thought the animation was great. The fight scene was gorgeous.
Yeah. That Inquisitor was a cool design. The design on the Inquisitor was really cool.
Yeah, the whole time, the back of my head, I'm like, it's the story's flawed, and you have to fix the story first before you put pencil to paper to start drawing anything. Make sure the story's rock solid, and they didn't do it, and that's what kind of spoiled this one for me.
Especially again when you're in this limited amount of time to pull off this story. I mean, look, the character design is like, Toby is cute. Toby creates a bunch of other mini droids which are adorable. Like, they look like friggin' little bugs, like cute little Disney style bugs and all that. And it's fantastic. The backgrounds are beautifully painted and all that. And it's a very reminiscent of like the 70s animation style that I grew up with as a kid.
Exactly. Now, as a side note, they do try to explain it by saying that the droid's powered by a kyber crystal, and that's what allows them to interact with the Force. Again, with the kyber crystals.
But
if that was the case, if the Jedi knew that, all you need is a kyber crystal, you can throw it in a droid and bam, instant Jedi, then the Clone Wars would have panned out a lot differently. They wouldn't have.
Palpatine would be just mauling people.
Yeah, he would have just like made a shitload of the elite battle droids and cranking kyber crystals in each one, and bam, droid Jedi army or droid Sith army. So that's where, again, this falls apart.
Yeah.
Okay, let me ask you this, because I skipped so much of the episode. I can't do this myself. Is there any way you could script doctor this to make it work? Like the robot with the lightsaber?
100%. All I would do is, so Professor Makita was a Jedi. This is shortly after the Great Jedi Purge. He could have simply said he had a son who was dying, pulled the brain out, stuck it in a robot, made an android, like a living brain inside the body.
With her organic, it would work. But can you make the story work with a pure robot?
No, because again,
like a robot holding a lightsaber, that you can't. Like,
you could program a robot to fight like a Jedi, but it can't become a Jedi.
Yeah, Grievous was not Force sensitive. He had just been trained by Dooku to wield lightsabers.
Yeah, you could program him to be a Jedi, but this character technically becomes a Jedi. I mean, Toby becomes a Jedi, which is an impossibility because there's no organics. There's no,
because that's where I tapped out. So
and
I don't blame you for doing that, because it is a big, like, you're going like, wait, I was expecting that shoe to drop. Like, it turns out, this is a kid that he had to save him by putting him in a mechanical body. At one point, it was going to reveal that he was a cybernetic. He was like a cyborg.
Real boy.
Yeah, exactly.
Like a brain, part of the brain stem, maybe a little bit of the spine, and then some, and his chest has like the stuff to keep the brain living.
Yeah, exactly. friggin' Cage from RoboCop 2.
Exactly. I mean, if they had done that, I would have been like, absolutely, this
Exactly. That would have been
being could be force sensitive, and with the addition of the cybernetics and all that stuff, could probably process the training to be a Jedi faster. And
for
there
sure.
you go.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's,
it was
that's the only way I
not.
could see script doctoring it to make it work.
Yeah. All right. So that being said, we're gonna move on to Geno Studio and episode 8, which is
we got through
7.
the Elder.
oh
yeah,
shoot, I'm
episode
sorry.
7,
I'm
Studio
sorry.
Trigger.
I just realized I marked off the wrong one. So
Hey,
we're gonna
to be
go
fair,
to
I almost skipped this episode too. Spoilers.
we are going to back to Trigger is giving us our second episode, which is episode 7, which is the Elder. So this is going to be one where the description goes as follow: a Jedi and his Padawan pursue a dark and powerful presence. So this is basically an episode, pre-episode 2 episode. We're talking early Phantom Menace-ish or prior to that. We're talking prequels episode sort of.
Probably even
situation.
before Palpatine became the Sith Master.
More than likely. But yeah, so basically that's basically what it is. It's we have a Jedi and his Padawan traveling through space, and the Jedi picks up on a presence. They stop off at a planet. They encounter a dual lightsaber wielding bad guy, fight him. He gets defeated, and then that's the end of it. I mean, it's not much to this particular episode. It is a very storybook version of a Star Wars story. It's not very too inventive. Again, it's a Trigger that brought us the twins, so it's kind of neat to see a completely different style from the same
It's
studio.
a complete opposite.
It basically is the 180 of the twins episode. But
this was kind of like Studio Trigger going, look what else we can do.
Yeah. We did this, but we also do this.
We can make an episode where nothing happens. And so when I was watching it, that's kind of what I got. I started watching it. It's like, oh, too much talking. I'm not really that interested. Okay, let's skip ahead a little bit. Nope, they're still talking. Okay, skip a little bit more ahead. They're still talking. What the hell? Skip ahead. Oh, there's a little old dude. Okay, something's about to happen. And they just kind of fight. And it's like, oh, okay. They fight and it's kind of done. Huh. I'm glad I skipped through that in 2 minutes.
Yeah. Again,
so I wasn't that interested with this one.
It has a lot of, because of the dialogue and whatnot. I mean, it's not very world building, because going into this, you know what this world is like. You don't need to have exposition about the Phantom Menace era Star Wars universe, because we already know what it is.
Yeah,
I mean,
you can see the haircuts. The characters have the haircuts. We know
the characters. Yeah, exactly. The Padawan has his braid.
The guy has his beard.
Yeah, exactly. He's not clean shaven. It's not a very, again, it goes against what the idea of Star Wars Vision is supposed to be. Something new that we've never seen before. No, they just regurgitated stuff that's already been there, and unfortunately, it's just not handled as well as it has in other of these mini episodes, sort of thing.
I mean, visually it looked great, but this was a case of a lot of tell me, not show me. So having two characters stand blah 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 blah. Show me. Don't tell me this shit. Show it to me.
Yeah.
We're never told why the Elder's there. Is it kyber crystals? Could the planet have kyber crystals? But there's
why not?
There's no rhyme or reason for that old guy to be there up in the mountains. It's just like he's like, well, he's the plot device to get him to go to the mountains and show us some lightsaber fight. I mean, there could have been 1,001 reasons. Like, they're going to the planet because of a distress, they got some sort of distress signal. They get there. You can have the village is razed. There's no one left alive, or one person who's dying, sort of thing, and says, yeah, this old guy showed up and it beat the shit out of everybody, and his ship's over there, and The guy's, well, I'll go check out the ship, and you go see if you can, figure out what this old guy is. They get there, and it could be like a Sith training camp. Anything. It could even be like this old guy is setting up the camp. Like the Sith Padawans haven't arrived yet. Something. But there's no reason for this old guy to be there. There's no reason for them to be there. It's like that we just happened to stop at this planet, and there just happened to be this guy here. We just happened to fight. We happened to kill, and he turns into rock and crumbles away, and he blows up his ship before it does, and blah 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 blah. It's like, ugh, tell a fucking story. You got the chance. You've got a good studio doing great animation. Give them a story to animate to. And yeah, as you said, Troy, they just regurgitated stuff directly out of the movies, played it safe, and in this case, way too safe. They didn't do anything new.
Yeah,
they didn't do anything new.
They didn't even give us any sort of character designs. Every character is a human in this. You could have made that old guy, the dark character,
give him 4 arms and 3 eyes or something.
Or just designed your own alien. I mean, this is Star Wars Visions. Make your own thing up. Have the indigenous species on this planet not humans. I mean,
make him insectoid or
to be honest, I didn't mind the old Sith. He didn't bother me.
He looked like your typical.
Could have been cool, but I agree with Trevor. He had to have something else. Like there had to be something going on with him.
If he, when he pulls the 2 swords, and the Padawan's like, well, I've dueled many, dual welders before, and then you have the old guy smile, and another 2 set of arms that are tight in the body pull out another 2 swords, and you're like, well, okay, then maybe I should go get my master, because is that my mom calling? I'll be right back. I promise.
I do like the fact that his swords were not your typical lightsaber. They had the curved point at the end, so they were more like a katana than an actual lightsaber, which was.
Well, speaking of that, that's something that the entire series did. Like, how many lightsabers didn't retract like normal? They had
they were laser katanas.
Yeah.
Or they had there was a light ring around, and then you could see, and then
that one was good.
Look at the sword, but as they turn it, it would get paper thin.
Yeah,
like a katana, and it was like, that's a cool idea.
Yeah, and it kind of triggered me a little bit. It's like, that's not a lightsaber, but it was so cool that
you quickly accepted it. You're like, yeah, that'd be kind of cool to have. Well, the thing is, I also just watched what's a prop? God Christ, what the hell's its name? Excuse me. There's a YouTube channel, property or prop makers. I can't think of his name now, and he just did a Connor McLeod katana lightsaber.
Dude, I just watched that myself. Oh shoot.
Yeah, Punish Props. That's it. Punish Props.
Punish Props. Yes.
Yeah. And it looks, I mean, with the Connor McLeod dragon handle katana, it looks, and with the stand like a katana Suba, it looks gorgeous. It looks absolutely gorgeous. So yeah,
all it needs to do is get a couple more holes in the handle so the sound comes out of it better. But yeah, it looks fantastic.
Yeah, so look up Punish Props. Look up the Immortal Jedi mashup, making the Highlander lightsaber. You'd really like it, Mike.
I'm looking at it right now.
Yep,
and he actually uses the mold from Highlander 2 that they use to pour a bunch of the handles. So that's kind of a.
Yep, there he is. Yeah.
So yeah, that's. Nice. I saw that and I was like, I can accept the katana lightsabers.
Yeah.
And I said, I really like the fact that when you look at it from the side, it's like the thick blade, but when they turn it becomes paper thin, like an energy wave.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
So unfortunately, that didn't quite.
Again, I find a lot of these, the story was just. They had great visuals, but the story was just really lacking. Yeah. I don't know if it was a case of they felt they didn't have enough time, or I don't know. But like I really had my hopes pinned on the Elder because it was like, it's a cool concept. I saw some of the designs for it. I was like, oh, this would be nice. And then it was just like, I got to the end and I'm like, that could have been 2 minutes long. Honestly.
That's how long it took me to watch it. It was 2 minutes.
Lucky bastard.
Okay, so we're gonna go now. We're gonna go on to Geno Studio, and they bring us episode 8, which is Lop and Ocho, which again, according to the quick little capsulized entry for the description of this episode, is going to be a family is torn about what to do when the Empire encroaches on their planet. So I will admit this is the final one that I was able to get to, and unfortunately I did not finish it off because life happens, and unfortunately when you have one television in the household and a lot of people want to watch it, there's a lot of little kids Disney Plus on. Yes, I know. And as I started this podcast, I was watching it on my phone, Trevor. Yes. So, but anyways, what I saw, this was really cool. The design of the characters, we are given an actual, our main character is an alien character, which is a bunny, which is a, we're introduced to bunny. Yeah. Bunny.
Bunnies.
So it's unfortunately not that funny. It would be cool, but it's probably maybe the same species, but not green. Let's say this is a brown furred bunny.
At least there's a precedent for it in the
yes,
Star Wars
exactly.
universe.
No, totally. Jax is totally what I was thinking. For those not knowing, there is a character created in the Marvel comics version of Star Wars way back in the 80s called Jax, and he was a green-haired rabbit that wore a red jumpsuit with white boots and gloves, and was apparently, like, at one point one of the most hated characters designed for the Marvel Star Wars universe. But hey, he lives on because he's just like, it's a fantastic character. I actually have a buddy who cosplays as Jax, so it's it's kind of neat. But this particular series, unfortunately, like I said, this particular episode I didn't get all the way through, so I'm going to leave it up to, I guess, Trevor, because Trevor has seen all this. Mike, has you seen this one as well?
Yes, I have.
Okay, you guys go on with your thing. I would just say this is a beautifully designed one. I love how like the technology in this particular one stands out really cool, all the technology that they show, but it's got such a classic samurai feel to everything else that's not technology. Like your household and all that looks very like Chinese sort of household. It's like all the rattan and the bamboo and the designs of the archways, how they're all curved and all that sort of thing. Fantastic. So that's about all that I can say about this, because I got halfway through and I'm like, oh, we're now having a split between the father and the daughter in this particular series. So go on, guys.
Who wants to go first?
You can go.
All right. So this is one I just watched today, and this is the only one that my kids saw before me. And it's neat because my son, who got me hooked on Naruto, said, Dad, the animation on this one is awesome. It's like, oh, okay. So we got a seal of approval there. And then when I started watching the episode, it's like, oh my God, this feels like a Naruto episode. There's so much stuff on that. It's the sisters who aren't sisters, but become a part of the family. The one sister joins the Empire, and the bunny, who's the adopted daughter, says, I have to get my sister back no matter what. Like, this is such a Naruto story that it freaked me out. And I was concerned about the bunny character, but I was completely sold on it. I thought it was a great design. I love what you were saying, Troy, with the ancient Japanese cultural elements brought into the story. Like, that feels to me like a Star Wars planet. So even though a lot of the episode didn't really look or feel like Star Wars, it did look more like a Japanese anime. There's enough Star Wars elements in it that connected the Star Wars universe. And of course, Star Wars does draw from different cultures and different designs. So I believe that this was like a samurai planet. Completely bought into that. I thought all the characters were great. I thought the Empire was great. And yeah, for me, this was definitely one of my favorite episodes.
Yeah, I will say,
Oh.
just before you go any further, I will say I got as far as the introduction of the Grand Admiral, the white
Yeah.
suited Imperial officer. I got as far as his introduction, and as soon as I saw him, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna have to stop watching this now because we're about to start the podcast. I don't want to half watch this because
Right.
seeing an actual Imperial, let's stop this and I'll
And
get
it
back to
definitely
this
has
afterwards.
shades of like the Grand Admiral Thrawn. Like,
Okay, that's what I was thinking.
It feels right to me.
Okay, good. All right, good to know.
Trevor?
With the exception of the very first episode, this was my favorite. Because it's one of the longest ones. It's like over 20 minutes long. But I felt they said, what if we took a samurai era, 1500s samurai city, or like city, like, Tokyo or Kyoto or one of those, grew it on its own planet and threw Star Wars technology in it, but kept the aesthetic the same. And it's beautifully blended together. So like the markets, the houses, it's 100%, 14th, 15th, 16th century Japan, even up to 18th century Japan, but you still have the Star Wars technology in the background. It's not overbearing. It's not taking over. So it's a beautiful blend of the two. You still have hover cars and stuff like that. And then the relationship between the father, the daughter, and the adopted daughter, and then the two adopted daughters. It felt like a whole story. Like they didn't have to talk. They did a little bit of talking, and then they showed, or they would show, and then as you cut to a beautiful rendered background, you hear a voiceover, and that explains that beautifully, and you see them coming together and then splitting apart as their ideologies, start to clash. They have this whole sequence where, the father, after his daughter has left him, is giving his adopted daughter, the family weapon.
Oh, that's an amazing part. Yeah.
And it explains, like, through like pictograms that they have, how, you could see where the Jedi come from, at least in the way they do it this way. And the fact that he explains it as, when they get to the final fight and the daughter's like, that's mine. And it's like, this goes to the next clan leader, it's not given by blood. It's given by position in the family. And when she left, she gave up her position in the family, and it makes perfect sense. And then the fight's beautifully done. And you can even see the daughter, her eyes are going red as she's letting her emotions take over. And it's beautiful, just these little symbolic things. And she uses like a tri-sectional staff with like blades that are amped up in energy. And again, beautiful fight. When I first saw the first couple of things, I was like, okay, I can get behind the rabbit. And then like a little data eye, and I'm like, okay, so she's a little reliant on technology. But then she begins to accept who she is and gets the slave collar off. And it was well done in terms of the story. The dad trying to still, keep contact with his daughter, but at the same time, she has her own beliefs and she's not going to back down. Yeah, it was a
losing
great
his
episode.
other eye.
Yeah, so now he's fully
Symbolism.
blind. So now he's the blind man, it just, yeah, it's. I mean, when they blinded him, I was like, oh, that's shades of Rebels when the one Jedi gets blinded. So as he goes forward, he's going to have to, do his thing as a sightless samurai. Yeah, this was the episode that when it ended, I was like, I want more. I want more of this. I want to see where this goes, because they ended on it was a nice way to end the story, but also on a kind of a bit of a cliffhanger, because you want to see what happens next. And to me, that's the hallmark of a well-written story, that when it ends, your first instinct is, well, what happens next? Don't stop there. Keep going. And then you realize 20 minutes has gone by, like, oh shit, I didn't feel like 20 minutes.
Yeah, the one part that got me is like what you're saying with the ceremony to pass on the family weapon to the next generation.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, okay, so the bunny's not a Jedi, but they were trained by Jedi, and there's like all that stuff going on. But then in the fight where she force grabs the other blade, it's like, what in the hell just happened there? It's like at that moment, I was like, yeah, I want to see more.
Now, what I liked was when they showing the pictograms of how they were trained, the Jedi that trained them was not Japanese. Like the way that they depicted him, he kind of looks like Obi-Wan Kenobi in a way.
Yeah.
So it looks like
Oh,
there was a
really?
Jedi who came from off planet and taught them Jedi sword fighting techniques. And perhaps he even perished on the planet and his lightsaber was passed down. And they show a lot of the symbol, like the old Jedi logo, like the Jedi Academy logo, that's in there, but now it's more of a heron. Yeah, they really disguised the symbolism that's in Star Wars of the various factions. Like when he's handing it over in that whole ceremony, you see the Jedi Academy logo. You know, it's like the wings with the star in the center. It used to be on my car, so I know it really well. I mean, that's prominent. That's actually the silhouette, dividing the two. And it was like, oh, that's the Jedi Academy logo. And then when they're showing the pictograms and you see like the heron, it's like, oh, that's kind of like Rogue Squadron in a way. So yeah, it's stuff like that. Like they did their homework. These guys did their homework and said, all right, this is what we're given. How can we incorporate it without it becoming overpowering? And they did it beautifully. I mean, as I said, the first episode, I think, has the best style of all these shorts, but I think this one has the best story. So yeah.
Alrighty then. So then that brings us down to Science Saru again. And basically episode 9, which is, okay, I'm going to need some help with the pronunciation on this one. This is Akari?
Akakiri?
Akakiri?
That's how I would say
Akakiri.
it.
Okay, Akakiri.
Yeah.
And I want to retrofit my apology for mispronouncing any of these names. Or just
Don't apologize.
I just in retrospect, I'm going to apologize for that sort of thing, because I know that I have problems with regular English names sometimes. So
does Kevin.
So does Kevin, yes. So this is a Jedi returns to his forbidden love to help defend her kingdom from a Sith-like shogun. So from the descriptions, this is the first time we actually have the word shogun being used in it. But so again, not being one of the particular episodes that I saw, I'm going to let you guys take over this particular, because I haven't even actually seen images except for the one image that is on the screen where the description of this episode is. So other than that, I have no idea what's going on. So
You want to start this one, Trevor?
Sure. This is kind of like Lord of the Rings in a way, because there's a whole bunch of walking from get to point A to point B. That's what they spend 3/4 of the entire short going from point A to point B. At least that's how long it feels. And then they get there and things go to hell fast. And I liked the ending in as much as the Jedi don't win, because if they win all the time, then they become all powerful. And they never. I mean, you go into every fight knowing you're going to win it, and in this case, the Jedi does not win his fight, and his faith is shaken. And even after he kind of like cleans up his mess a little bit, he's still shaken enough that he willingly joins the dark side, which was a beautiful touch. Like, it's something none of the other episodes even tried to talk about, of that it's always about the redemption. So we have the fallen Jedi in, what is it, the Village Bride, the fallen Jedi who was redeemed.
Mm-hmm.
In this case, we have a Jedi who falls, and it was nice. It was nice to see someone actually tackle that subject of, because it's always, it's the fall and then the redemption. But this one's just like, it's the fall, and it was great. Mike?
Yeah, for me, I wanted to like it more than I ended up liking it. And I think part of it was because it had a very what if ending. where if there's a second episode, I'd be really excited to see it. But it just kind of ended in a way, it was like, oh, that's not, like, it's not really an ending. Like, if you just went full out Sith and you see him in his Darth Vader armor or in red lightsaber or something, like, I want to see that. Like, don't rob me of that moment. It does
You
let
want
you
that moment.
I like, show me that. Or if it's going to be continued, that's fine. If they're going to do another one of these. But it like, I did feel a little bit robbed at the end.
You
Now,
wanted
all
that
that
payoff.
said, yeah, I want the payoff for it. And it was just like, you can't just stop it at this point. I did like the whole vibe of the story, and it reminded me of the Ralph Bakshi, the Wizards.
Mhm.
I got an image of it here if people haven't seen it, but like all those creatures that are running around, it brought back
Yeah.
all the vibes of that old era heavy metal kind of, again, like the Ralph Bakshi, that first generation adult entertainment tapping into the fantasy world. And I liked that because that's the era that Star Wars kind of came from, so it was nice to see it tapping into that. I thought the characters were neat, but yeah, I just needed a solid ending, or tell me that there will be a second episode.
I can't say it there will be, but I mean, I agree with you that we didn't get the payoff of seeing him embracing the dark side, but I think it was enough to see him realize that he lost.
Yeah.
And he, which was big, because I mean, every other thing we watched, the Jedi or even the quasi Jedi won.
Yeah.
Or were redeemed, or something to that effect. The good guy won, sort of thing. Even in the first episode where he was not really a good guy, but he's kind of a good guy. This time we saw the good guy lose. I mean, he did that whole big long journey just to lose.
Yeah.
And
there was even the prophecy at the beginning that
and
maybe you shouldn't go. Like, bad things could happen.
Yeah, and
So
to me, it's I find it's nice when a story says, you know what, fuck it, evil's gonna win this time.
Yeah.
And they stick to their guns and they do it, and it's like, oh shit, yeah, evil just did win.
Yeah.
So yeah. Now, if we were to rate these in the order, which ones would you watch again? If someone said you can watch 3 of these 9, which would it be?
Well,
Okay.
I highly doubt any of us would not put the Duel on their list.
The Duel is on the list for me.
For sure. Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, just again, from the get-go, to start off with this, it's a very strong one. I actually am the reason
Did we wave
why
at Gavin to get him to join in? Hi, Gav. Join in, Gav. Join in.
Yes.
he transforms into recording.
So we're
mode.
asking people if you could only watch 3 of the episodes again.
Of the
The
ones
other
you've
6 would be
watched.
locked away. Which 3 would you watch?
Can't honestly answer that until I actually watch all of them.
All right. Well, the thing is, we're all saying everyone's probably going to pick the Duel.
The Duel for sure, right? Yeah. I would have to say that well, from what I've seen of that 8th episode, Lapan Ocho, Ocho.
Ocho.
It's Ocho.
Ocho.
O
OCHO.
Ocho. Okay, gotcha. I would say that, just again from the visual, for what I've seen of it and what I have seen, I'm gonna say that one.
That
And
one's on my
then
list as well.
I would say the 9th Jedi would be my 3rd one,
That's my list too.
because
1,
again,
5, and 8.
those are the most Star Wars universe that has brought us the most that we haven't seen from the Star Wars universe. These are the cornerstones of what this idea of Star Wars visions, like I've said several times throughout this whole entire thing, that this is the idea of what I thought we were going to get from Star Wars visions. Not only are they of my personal favorite stories from what we've seen. Visually, they're my favorites as well. I mean, just all in all, anime alone, it's just my favorites at 3 out of the 8 that I've seen. But again, from what I tried to avoid listening to, I don't think the story is going to be that interesting, that involving in the 9th one. But the twist ending sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, for me, my 3rd one, I would say my favorite story would be The 9th Jedi. But because of the bonkers animation, I would put the twins on it. I know Trevor thinks it's a turd, but I would be like, it's so bonkers, and there's so much for me to deconstruct in that, just to make sense of it. And I don't know, for me, it's a toss-up. It's a coin flip. Like, Harvey Dent Two-Face, one's a face and one's a face with a scar on it, but I'll flip the coin and see which one I watch out of those two.
Yeah, mine's 1, 5, and 8.
Yeah.
Just because as Troy said, these are the ones that took that idea of you can play in the Star Wars universe, come up with your own story. Those were the 3 that took that idea and said, all right, and delivered. It's original ideas. The first one is like harken back to, screw it, we're going to show you what Lucas was inspired by. Yeah. Which was great. And then 5 and 8 were both like, we're going to take this idea, take it in a direction that something you've never seen before, but still make it feel like it's in the Star Wars universe. And they did it. So that's why they're on. That's my picks.
Alrighty then. So that being said, I think we're going to start wrapping it up for this particular episode. First of all, I want to thank everyone for joining us. This is, again, our 20th episode. And because I don't think we actually ended up mentioning that at the beginning. But anyways.
We did a couple times.
We did?
Yeah.
You think?
Yeah, I think so. I think we mentioned 20.
I'll go back and edit it. And if not, I'll edit this part out.
All right. Or just edit in
or just
20.
Leave it in. Yeah. Or just edit in episode 20. But we're getting back into the form of this. And hopefully next week we can get back to, I believe we actually do have an Adam Asks question for us that I got this week, but I wasn't going to drop it on you guys because I knew we had quite a bit to cover with the visions and all that. Plus, I believe we are going to finish off our box office showdown, which of course, if everyone knows, have been listening to, have been waiting for it, we're finally going to get down to which is the better movie, the blockbuster movie of
sequel,
the part 1 or the part 2 of the end of phase 4 for the Marvel universe. So I guess on that we can say our collective goodbyes on the count of 3. Is everyone ready? Everyone back, everyone good to go. And on 1, 2, 3, collective goodbye.
Wow, that wasn't so bad.
I waved with the wrong hand, so I crossed in front of my own face the way I shouldn't. But we'll get it. I mean,
next week we're gonna have some fun things to review, and it'll be great.
Exactly. All right.
You have just been listening to Geeking Off the Page with your hosts, Mike Kitchen, Gavin Burbage, Trevor Brown, and Troy Bowman. Please be sure to like, subscribe, and share. Also, if you could leave us a rating and comment, that would assist in allowing others to find this podcast more easily. You can follow the podcast on the following social platforms: Instagram and Twitter, search for @PlanetGeekPod, all one word. On Facebook, search for Planet Geek Productions. Or you can send us an email to planetgeekpod@gmail.com. Buy the guys a coffee by going to Ko-Fi, ko-fi.com/planetgeekpod. And know that any and all donations will go towards improving all current and future Planet Geek Productions programs. Thank you for listening.
All right.
I'll
that
make
was
it work
pretty
the
good.
next time. I'll turn off the sound canceling.
Yeah, that's probably what it was. The not be able to catch. It's kind of weird that. Anyways, all right. So that was actually pretty good, guys. That was pretty fun.
Hold on, let me turn off this sound canceling.
Okay.
Ready?
Oh yeah, we can hear you
Oh, there
pour it
we
into your
go.
mouth now. Yeah, there it is. There it is.
Yeah, that's the
Yeah.
one.
Ow! Ow! It's starting
All
to
right,
hurt.
we got an outtake out of that anyway.
There we go.
Oh.